Please welcome my guest for this evening, Suga-chan.
Hi!
Hello there!
Hi!
Hi there,
Hi,
Suga.
hi.
So excited to have you here. We've been talking. I always make a point to speak with my guests a little bit during the week before the show. And when we were talking, we just sort of, got into legitimate full conversations. At one point I had to say, okay, stop, because we need to save some of this content for the show.
Yeah, because I talk so much. I literally, you can't get me to stop talking. The only way you can is like if you tell me I'm actually speaking too much.
No, but the thing is, that's the best type of guest. That makes my life so easy. It's like, I don't need to worry about, guiding you along, that you are legitimately a talk show host's dream. So I am so excited for tonight. We have several topics lined up, and honestly, they're ones that I don't get to discuss every day, or every week rather, with my guests. So that's just making it all the more exciting for me. Yes. Well, before we get too deep into it and lose ourselves, go on and introduce yourself. I'm sure most of the people in chat are already familiar with you, but for anyone who isn't, who are you?
I'm Suga. I am your tsundere sheep idol here at your service. I stream on Twitch, and I also post covers and other content on YouTube, but I primarily produce content on Twitch. I play story games and indie games, and I like to try to do like concert streams because I am an idol, so I like to sing, and I try to do those at least twice a month. So yeah, I'm a sheep, and that's what you need to know.
Very good things to know indeed. And by the way, thank you to Boanario, Bree at Cookiebox, and Hanachu for the follows.
Hi friends!
Hello and welcome. So obviously, as you said, you're an idol. You are broadcasting live from your stage. You actually had a show just yesterday that you were part of the Idol Variety virtual show.
Yeah, that was really cool. I had never done a variety, like an idol variety show before, so the fact that I got to do that, or that my tape, or my audition rather, got accepted, was really cool.
You were actually the closer. You were the finale.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. Like, I thought that was really cool, and I wasn't sure what to expect, and like when I got to see it, because I don't get to see everybody's like sets beforehand or anything. I don't know what people are submitting. So it was really cool to experience that and see like people's debuts, like idol debuts, and like also get to see people's like latest music videos and stuff. I ended up doing my Tokyo Mew Mew cover, which I could have like put my what's it called, my music video in for, but it was, well, I think it was a lot more fun for me to film it and like get to talk into a microphone and like actually perform. So that was like really special for me.
Yeah, it seemed like you only had a couple minutes, but every act only had a couple minutes, as you will with the variety show, but definitely made the most of it. And like you said, you did one from Tokyo Mew Mew, which, as you said then, is a very meaningful series to you. And I actually didn't realize that there was so is it a remake? Is it a sequel series? That they have more coming soon?
It is, as far as I am aware, it is a remake. And I am so excited because like, like Tokyo Mew Mew, I used to watch it on YouTube, so I never got into Sailor Moon or anything. It wasn't really my cup of tea, especially because I only really knew about it because of the dub on 4Kids. And the dub is, no offense to anybody who likes the dub, but for me, it was like a negative 60 out of 10. And so like, I would watch a lot of anime on YouTube.
Oh man, back in the day, just, watching it usually in 3 parts because the videos couldn't be longer than 10 minutes.
Exactly, because you couldn't have it couldn't be longer than 10 minutes, and so like, and it was before like you had like the quality options.
Before you had legal options. That I very much do not endorse watching anime on YouTube nowadays, because there are legal options unless it's provided by the studio. Yeah, there are a couple, but back in the day, and especially for ones that didn't get released in English at all, or just never got like a video or DVD printing, that was Wild West, the only way that you could watch these
That was
shows.
the only way. Like, that's how I watched a majority of Studio Ghibli films when I was younger. Like Nausicaa, I watched on YouTube. What's it called? Pompoko. What's another one? Porco Rosso. Like, I watched all of those on YouTube. I was like, oh, I didn't realize they had DVDs.
I remember I watched Ouran High School Host Club for the first time on YouTube, which I know is another series you're a big fan.
I also watched that on YouTube.
Now that's one.
I couldn't find it anywhere.
Oh yeah, because I don't think Funimation actually started their native streaming service for another their streaming service went up in 2013, 14ish, so it was several years off. And you talk about some old dubs. Tokyo Mew Mew, I never saw the dub of that, but I can fully believe that, especially for a 4Kids one back in the day, that it might not have been top quality. I hold up the
dub.
You've never seen the dub of Ouran?
No, of Tokyo Mew Mew.
Tokyo Mew Mew.
I never watched it. I just watched it in Japanese. If you try to talk to me about it about whatever happened in English, all I know is that one of them's probably named Jennifer, and that's all I've got.
Well, hey, that's still more than I know. But anyways, there's a sliding scale of quality for dubs out there, but I hold up Ouran's dub as one of the best of all time. It's so good.
So when the Ouran dub came out, it was October 2008, it was October 2008. The DVD came out in two separate boxes. You had Volume 1 and Volume 2, and I owned them both. And Funimation used to have like a blog series to talk about the process of how they would record in the studio and give updates on the anime and the audition process because Caitlin Glass was the director and she would also voice Haruhi.
Yeah, that was her. I think she also did the script adaptation. That project really was her child.
Yeah. J. Michael Tatum also did the script as well. And then I think he also helped with stuff in ADR. And then he also voiced Killia, who's my favorite.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad we agree on that one too.
Well, I'm simple. I love a tsundere type because I am a tsundere type, so it's very easy for me to be biased. And so I'm also a huge fan of glasses. Like, it's very glasses are a huge thing for me. And so but the Ouran dub is so good. I could probably quote that. Like, the entire first episode is very embarrassing if anybody ever watched it with me. It would be like, I would probably say all of the lines before they would say it in the show. Well, okay, so my friend Bree, we watched Glee together, and she made a tweet. She was like, it's really fascinating and really scary because Suga, you watch Glee with Suga, and she'll say all of the lines before they say them, and she'll say them at the same pace, at the same breath, and all this other stuff. And I was like, it's just who I am. And then I responded to it, and I was like, in 10 minutes, this character is going to say this line. And then they did, and she was like, I hate it here. That would probably be the same experience with Ouran. Like, I know the Ouran, opening monologue.
Oh, God, yes.
Like, Haruhi's voice was actually one that I practiced for a really long time, which is how I can, do deeper voices. So she'd be like, oh, senpai, I can't believe you're really doing that. Is it really okay for you to have this uniform?
Oh gosh.
And that kind of thing.
I closed my eyes for a second. I was like, oh gosh, this is really close. If you were to play that in Caitlin Glass one after the other, I'd have to think about it and I could possibly get it wrong. That was really good.
What is one line that she says? She goes, this school has 4 library rooms. I mean, I can't believe one of them would have to be... I can't believe one of them can't be quiet. How are things in heaven, Mom? I hope you're doing okay. An abandoned music room. When I opened the door, I found a host club.
Yes, such a somber opening to one of the most manic series you will ever see.
And then I love the music because it goes dun,
Da,
dun,
da,
dun,
da,
dun,
da,
dun,
da,
dun,
da, 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 da.
and then she goes, starting today, you are a host.
Yep. Honestly, Oron's first episode is one of my favorites to watch with others because you get to see their reaction to the light bulbs and just sort of glancing over and like, do they understand what's
Oh my gosh.
happening? And then just at the end, do they get it? Because I'd say 90% of the people I show it to don't see it coming. They don't understand the light bulbs, that they just either gloss over it, and when there's the reveal, it's like, oh, that's what the light bulbs are for, or they'll like ask me, what's with the light bulbs? And they're like, don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, I was one of the, I mean, I was also like 12, but like, I don't know, I was like young, so like, I didn't get it, like the light bulb thing, and then it happened, and then it put it all together, and I was like, oh, no way, because the way I discovered Oron was because of an AMV called High School Never Ends. It's the song by Bowling for Soup.
Oh my gosh, that's funny, because I found Oron also because of an AMV. It was a different one. It was called Coup d'etat. It's Be Prepared from The Lion King.
Oh, I
with
love that.
Kyoya as Scar.
Oh my gosh. That's so fitting. Like, I think it's because of how wacky it is. It's so good to create AMV content for. Like, even to this day, people still make AMV content for Oron because it just holds up so well.
Yeah, and everything is so colorful. The characters are super expressive.
Their school is pink. That's my dream. The school is pink. Like, I thought when I would go to high school, my school would be pink. It was not pink.
Oh no. That is quite disappointing there.
Yeah, but I mean, it'd be like
Now, I know you don't watch a ton of anime, at least seasonally, but one that you saw this week, and you actually apparently just binged it all the way through with friends. My Next Life is a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom, which is one of my top 3 anime of last year, and I watch a fair bit. I absolutely adored that show, so when I saw you tweeting about it, I messaged you on Discord, and I was like, oh my gosh, Villainess.
It was so good. Like, I won't lie that the beginning of it I thought was kind of slow, I guess. Like, I did think that like the parts with, like, I understood the fact that they needed to set it up for history, and like there's a huge impact at the end of the first season because they set it up that way. But when it was first happening, I was like, there are small children on my screen. It goes right over my head.
Yeah, you have just that, childhood arc for the first 3 episodes, and the real meat of the series doesn't start until episode 4. But I think what really hooked me for the show was there's this really emotional scene at the end of episode 1 where just Katarina, bless her soul, just the whole thing about her is that she's the sweetest person. Do you know what the fan name for the series is?
No.
Bakarina.
Oh wait, I think I saw that on Reddit.
Because basically it's just it's one of the shorthand because she is so sweet, so caring, and just so dense, so oblivious to everything going on around her. Because, and I suppose to her credit, that she has this built-in expectation of the game world that she knows, and she's operating under a lot of base assumptions of, okay, as this character, there's no way people can fall in love with me, that's not part of the fabric of this world as I know it. That's an impossibility. So everything else she has to mentally tailor to meet that end, despite the fact that she is warping what her expected reality is left, right, and center, and just, as you said, completely oblivious.
I think my favorite part about it, though, is that, like, because she ends up warping the ending so much, they all just fall in love with her because she replaced the romantic interest that was supposed to be there. And I love that. I think that's so funny. Yeah,
it's so fun. I appreciate that it is one of the just... It's bisexual representation, that it doesn't matter. Both the guys and the girls are there, and while Katarina is basically rejecting them both because she doesn't really have the ability to comprehend the fact that they might like her.
She
That
has no idea.
but it's not necessarily because, oh, they're girls and I can't like them. That it's like, all right, I'm a bit more surprised because they're a girl and I wouldn't expect this interaction, but that it's sort of, it's not considered an issue in that sense, you know?
Yeah, my friends and I, we kept like screaming like, yeah, bisexual supremacy, like that kind of stuff at the TV. We were like, it was just so.
Yeah, it's a fun series. Can't recommend it enough.
It's
the
so
second
good.
season started a couple weeks ago. I know you haven't gotten into that yet, so I won't go into any spoilers there, but you have more to look forward to, and I will leave it at that.
I'm very excited. I think my friends want to wait until the season is over so we can all just binge
it again.
Go.
Understandable.
So, but I got them into my after we finished the first season, we ended up watching the Ace Attorney anime instead.
And that leads us into a really good next one of just, you are a big fan of Ace Attorney. I myself, I've only played the original 3 games from the, you know, standard Ace Attorney trilogy, as well as Layton versus Phoenix Wright. So I unfortunately will not be able to do any commentary on investigations or anything with Apollo Justice.
Okay.
But
I could talk about the trilogy for days.
Have you seen the film?
My bread and butter. I have. It's been, I'm not gonna lie, it has been a minute. I think the last time I watched it was 20.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when it was, but I can't think. It's really been a long time.
It was a while back. I just remember that I think it's one of the best game adaptations I've seen that just, they commit to the absurdity of everything. They let themselves be over the top as they are in the game. They don't try and make it gritty. Well, they make it gritty and real in the parts that are supposed to be gritty, but they have a scene, it's at least once, I think it's twice, where Phoenix says something stupid, and just like you would have in the game, everyone in the gallery falls over. Just, you have these absurd, cartoonish, physical gags being carried out in live action, and very few movies actually commit to that, and I really appreciated it.
I think, like, the thing that makes the movie, for me as a hardcore Ace Attorney fan, that makes it, like, pretty acceptable is the fact that it's, like, they knew that going into it, that if they took away, like, the absurdity, then they were taking away a lot of the charm from Ace Attorney, and I think that's what makes it good. Because, like, you know, you get a lot of live action adaptations where they're kind of questionable because they take out the charm of what makes the series itself very good. Because even Ace Attorney has a musical that plays into, like, the slapstick, like, silly comedy of Ace Attorney.
I haven't seen that one. I'm aware of it, but I need to get around to watching it.
Like, there's a whole bit where Gumshoe, like, falls and he keeps tripping, but and it's all to music, and, like, it's very, like, Abbott and Costello slapstick type of humor. And so, like, but the thing is, the person who's playing Gumshoe is extremely talented because he's, like, spinning on his head like a top, or, like, he's doing breakdance moves and playing them off is, like, slipping around, and, like, the talent and the skill and physical skill that goes into being able to create that bit that lasts for about 30 seconds is incredible to me. So I'm like, Matt props.
Yeah, no, because it just, we're gonna get into acting a lot more later, but I want to stay on Phoenix Wright for just a bit longer. But I will say absolutely that being able to actually carry a gag for more than 5 seconds means it has to be good. That you need to be doing things to vary it up to keep it fresh, but also the actor just, I've used the word several times, you have to commit to it. You have to really just go all in, and it's something that not every actor and every gag is capable of doing. So that just makes me look forward to seeing this stage show even more. It's
very good. I highly recommend it. I think it's fantastic. I'm biased. I like it more than the movie, but I'm biased. So.
Well, the stage play, does it have its own narrative, or is it also doing a retelling of the first game's major plot point? I feel like it has its own, because I remember reading somewhere that it takes place in a theater and that it's one of those, almost show within a show type things. So
it's like, you know how like, what is the name of that show? It was on Broadway. It was a comedy play. It was like The Play That Goes Wrong.
Yeah, that
it's kind of like that style.
Mm-hmm.
It's
the one I
like
usually associate that with is Kiss Me Kate, because as we'll get into when we start talking theater, I have a Kiss Me Kate experience. So, but spoiler alert. But yes, so that's sort of where my mind goes to when it's a show within a show. Well, actually, it's that and another one. I've done several show within shows, huh?
It's
and they're like two of my favorites.
Like I'm talking about theater. But Hedwig and the Angry Inch does the same thing. So like, if you go see Hedwig and the Angry Inch, you are going to see a show, but she is performing a show.
Yep.
And the audience plays like the fourth character type of deal.
And just, and shows like that are even more fun for people like us who know theater, because there's usually a lot of in-jokes or just, sometimes they're really overt, sometimes they're subtle, but there's usually Easter eggs in there or just things that someone who has been in the show can relate to on a very deep level.
Yeah. Like, hold on, sorry, I have to burp.
No problem. Well, before we get too far onto that, veering back to Phoenix Wright for a bit, do you have a favorite case?
Do I have a favorite? From the trilogy, right? Just the trilogy?
Well, you know what? I'll expand it to anything in Ace Attorney canon, and if it's a case that I'm not familiar with, you can educate me on it.
That is a good question. What is my favorite case? Because I have so many favorites based on their villains. Like I love Ace Attorney villains. Like the one from the end of the third game. I love her so much.
Oh gosh.
Her name is Miss Dahlia Hawthorne. I love her.
Thing is, your design it's the red and the pink hair and slightly tsundere. You could pull that off. I am sure of it.
Oh yeah, I actually have a lovely fan art that someone drew of me as Dahlia Hawthorne.
Oh my gosh!
And I live for it. It's my profile picture, like on so many different things. I used it for like some of my Ace Attorney thumbnails. Like it's so good, but the concept that that came with like my design was actually the idea that you have with Dahlia as well. Like you got the sugary sweet, but has the potential to
smack you to the ground.
That kind of thing. So like it's the same concept. Honestly, because she's one of my favorite characters ever, I wouldn't be surprised if my subconscious took inspiration of that vibe and stuff, and threw it into this. But in general,
I think part of it is that you have the things that you like, and that's what leads you to like Dahlia, as opposed to necessarily Dahlia influencing your tastes.
I think she's so cool. She's so nifty and she's so adorable. She's got a cute parasol. Her dress, I'd wear it. Her hair is great. And she's powerful. She was 14 and powerful as heck. And I find that very, very impressive.
Yeah, and just, she's absolutely menacing in the moments where it matters. And
her sprites are scary.
Oh,
Like, I love, like, that's the great thing about the Ace Attorney, like, female characters, is that they don't look scary, but then when they do, you're like, I gotta go.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something with every character in Ace Attorney that just, each character probably has, what would you say, 5 to 10 sprites, so not a ton, but in that library, there's always one where it is them angry, and one of the great things is just the art direction there is so good, and they are able to get everything they need out of those small libraries of expressions, and the angry ones or just the menacing ones really hit. And especially when they bring them out, and you have like the little psh, psh sound effect along with the shaking cam. That just, for being a static visual novel, they are able to really get so much punch in. Yeah. And just they're able to get that, plus the music, just I am a game music nerd. The soundtrack's so good.
So good. Like, the moment you hear it, you don't even need, like, for each character, their themes are so fitting for their design and their personality. You can get an idea automatically of who's about to show up on the screen before they show the sprite. It's fantastic. Like Godot's like dark fragrance.
Fragrance of dark coffee, iconic.
Yeah, so good.
And the cornered theme, if that doesn't get your pulse going, I don't know what will.
I get so hyped. I was actually playing Ace Attorney yesterday on screen, and every time the cornered theme came up, I was like, "Dabs, everybody, hype and dab, let's go!
Things getting serious."
Yeah, it's so good. I like what's it called? There's like I don't know how familiar you are with Persona, but there's like a mashup of the cornered theme. Yeah, there's a mashup of the cornered theme with one of the songs from Persona. I'll have to send it to you. It's so good. It's fantastic. But yeah.
My favorite of the cornered themes, so for Layton versus Phoenix Wright, I'm not sure if you've played any of the Layton games, but the soundtrack in the Layton series is very orchestral, that you have strings and brass, and that is actually my favorite cornered theme, because in that one, they do this really cool remix where they have just these French horns coming in along with the strings. It's really, really powerful.
Are you a fan of like more orchestral music?
Yes, I'm a band geek through and through, in addition to being a theater kid. Those were basically my two big things throughout high school and college, were just theater and band. I am the quintessential geek in that regard.
That is so fair. I used to play clarinet when and I did band when I was younger, so like I totally understand. For me, when it comes a huge reason why I like the Ace Attorney soundtrack is for that 8-bit sound. And what they are able to convey with just like that 8-bit tone. And I always find that really impressive, because I feel like those sounds are very difficult to play with, especially because it can put you in a corner. Not to be ha-ha-tee funny, but put you in a corner.
There's a saying I really like from a game designer, and it's restrictions breed creativity. That when you have fewer things to work with, you are forced to think more about what you work with.
Yes, I love that. That's a good quote. And it's true, too. Like, the amount of times that I've had to get creative on my own, when I think about, like, future projects or ideas or ways to keep, my community, engaged and constantly feeling like that my streams and my content are always a party. I have to get really creative, like really fast, and so and especially because like I feel like a lot of content creators tend to have like an array of skills, where I feel like I only have like a small few in terms of entertainment. Like I sing, I act, and I'm a good storyteller, and so I have to think about what
you have
can I
those
do
skills
with those
min-maxed.
things. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I have to take advantage of those that skill set and think, what can I do to stretch those to a limit beyond what I'm already doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So constantly thinking, brain doesn't stop going and running.
Yep. So for Phoenix Wright, well, we've already answered the question on favorite character, so I can't ask that.
Yes, Miles Edgeworth.
I was thinking Dahlia, but then again, you're right. So Miles Edgeworth, and I should have remembered that because you've discussed this on stream about your love for Edgeworth, and we haven't even discussed Edgeworth. Edgeworth is probably my favorite character because, at least, especially in the first game, that he's the one with the most depth. That Phoenix is, he's the very hyper Genki main character type, and he carries that role very well. But Edgeworth and Mia and Maya are the real soul of that game, and Edgeworth, just the fact that he's the one that's really tying everything in together throughout the game. That in the second game, it's mostly Maya, but the first one is really Edgeworth, and DL6 and everything is his big time on the stage, and just going through his emotional journey and exploring, frankly, his trauma. It's a lot.
Poor boy. He can never use stairs. Like, he can never use the elevator ever again. He has, literally has PTSD, which is, later shown in...
An abusive mentor who happens to be the murderer of his father. Spoiler alert, but hey, the game's been out for 15 years, so statute of limitations.
Not even. The game came out in 2000.
Oh, gosh. Yep. Yeah, well beyond.
Yeah.
I love Von Karma. I love Manfred Von Karma. I like Franziska as well, but Manfred the first time you hear his objection is heart-stopping.
Whenever this is really probably bad, but when I hear his objection, I always like to make fun of him a little bit because that's who I am. And because it's almost unintelligible for me. It just
It's
and I'm like,
very low.
For me, I'm always like, is he sneezing? Bless you. Because he's like, and I'm like, Gesundheit, do you need a tissue? Like, you good, my guy? And so it's always like that. But I actually. There's actually a clip. I have to send it to you. I think I can probably find it now. But there's a clip from when I played it yesterday about how I was talking about how much I love Edgeworth because I think he's a giant weenie and a huge baby, and he's such a jerk.
It's all a facade. It's all a facade.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. He's a giant weenie. He's a big, huge baby, and and he acts like a giant jerk, which is it's like you said, it's a facade, and it's a product of what's it called? Of his upbringing, because he didn't, he wasn't presented with the best parental figure, and when he was, that parental figure died. So it's just me being like, oh, I'm so excited for you guys to watch me play the rest of this game, because you not only get to go on the journey of watching him have a breakdown about his morals and his entire existence, but you also get to see him have a actual moral meltdown, and I can't wait for you guys to witness it on screen.
Oh yeah, he has an existential moment in that game.
Especially in the last case of the first game. With Damon Gant and Angel Star and everybody.
I really like the Gant case. That in some ways it's not able to necessarily reach the heights of DL6, because that one's being built up literally for the 4 cases prior to it, or 3 cases prior to it. But the Gant case still is able to follow it up, and in a lot of ways it feels like the stakes are higher in that one, because while DL6 is very powerful on an individual emotional level, the one with Gant this is the commissioner of police. This is, corruption to the highest levels. If we don't win this case,
and the chief prosecutor as well.
Yeah, that this is widespread conspiracy. If this case doesn't have the right resolution, justice in this area, this country, whatever, as we know it, is gonna fall apart. And so it has that extra weight, but it's a very different type of weight than the previous case, and I like that you have that difference to make each stand out in its own way.
Yeah, and also because you realize what a heavy influence Gant has, even not just on the people that the case is on, but even on Edgeworth, which also furthers the ending of that and why Miles Edgeworth, quote unquote, chooses death. So I mean, I could get into that for a while. But what's it called? For me, I'm always like, is it really your favorite character if you don't want to see them cry and have a really traumatic experience and have like an epiphany through it? No, just me? Okay.
No, I definitely agree that just my favorite characters are the ones that I get to see emoting. I enjoy ones that are, super Genki and happy and whatnot, but I want something that has depth and has, range.
Yeah, I don't get into Genki characters because every time they speak, I want to punch them. And that's just me being honest.
You're the tsundere type through and through. That's probably also why you like Edgeworth, because Edgeworth is a tsundere. He's absolutely a tsundere.
He is. Like before you even get into like the depth of the character itself, just personality wise. Like, in the Investigations series...
I saw that clip of you and your friend and just...
we're just screaming!
Yes.
Like, what's it called? In the Investigation series, Gumshoe was like, why... So, like, Edgeworth in his office has a Steel Samurai figurine. It's a huge figurine, it's really expensive, and, I mean, I have a lot of feelings about that itself, the reason why he's a fan of Steel Samurai, and how it represents a lost childhood, and how as an adult he tries to hang on to that as much as possible. But other than that, Gumshoe was like, hey, Mr. Edgeworth, why do you have this Steel Samurai thing? Isn't that a show for kids? I don't really watch it all that often. And then she's like, he's like, well, and he goes on this literally the longest rant I've ever seen him do in any of the games ever about anything about the Steel Samurai, like the plot, the relationships between the Pink Princess, the Iron Infant, and the Steel Samurai, about the Jammin' Ninja, like all this stuff. And then Gumshoe is just like, are you sure you're not a fanboy, Mr. Edgeworth? And then literally Miles like loses his mind. He's like, how dare you? Why would you ever think that I would be a fanboy? I was just gifted this. It would be rude of me to throw it away, like that kind of thing. And it's so funny.
Oh God. One, I appreciate that analysis. Two, I appreciate the Brooklyn accent that you gave Gumshoe.
Oh, thank you. I felt I think it's very fitting for Gumshoe. Absolutely. It's the one that I do for him on my streams whenever I play Ace Attorney. Like, what's it called? That's Gumshoe, and then Edgeworth is a little bit more like this, and then it's a little bit, it's slightly lower, but it's still a little lifting up a soft palate, and it's very regal.
Yes, regal, refined, that not quite British, but
no. It's not British. It's just I like to drink tea. I've been raised in this way. I typically imagine if we were a little more to character, he'd have more of a German accent because he was raised in Germany.
Yes.
I can see that, unfortunately, I can't do a German accent. So, and then Franziska sounds pretty similar, except she is higher pitched and more like animated.
I feel like you could probably give her a bit of a German accent since she is...
Well, she's been there since birth. Huh?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was saying like she's been in Germany since birth. So I was like, so she probably has one. I can't do it. So I just don't do it. I'm like, your immersion isn't broken. She doesn't speak with the text with a German accent. That's okay.
That's true. Yeah, that they. And then again, now this is making me sort of question, like, in universe, maybe she doesn't, because I feel like the series is very good about getting different dialects in with the text, because they have a lot of heart be very obviously Southern, and they get that through in her text. So if Franziska did have a particularly thick German accent, they might actually have made differences with the W's and V's and things like that. So now I'm questioning my own assumptions.
Part of me believes that it's just a translation thing because, like, because in Investigations, you so in Trials and Tribulations, which is the third Ace Attorney game, you have Miles Edgeworth doing his first quote-unquote case as a prosecutor up against Mia Fey in the case of Terry Falls against Melissa Foster. And in Investigations, he had another case that was supposed to be his first case at the age of 19. Sorry, I had to burp again. But it got cut short because there was a murder, just like at Terry Falls. Basically, there's like small dialogue here and there that you kind of have to pay attention to, where Franziska, Manfred, and Edgeworth all kind of talk about how they flew out from Germany to perform in a court that would give them a leg up, which is the Japanifornian courts. So that way Edgeworth could start his success early. So like they're kind of like cheating the system a little bit. So like that's where I kind of think it's from. So like for me personally, I've always thought that Edgeworth, in my own personal headcanon, is that he speaks English, German, and Japanese, just because he grew up in Japanifornia until the age of 6 before he had to move to Germany. So he has to be fluent in at least English or Japanese, and before he moved and had to become fluent in German. So that's like my thought in terms of languages for at least Edgeworth. And then Franziska, it seems by the way that Investigations is played out, it seems that she goes on trips often, and like with her papa, yeah. And so she's exposed to a lot of different languages and different court systems and stuff like that from a very young age. So I'm super like, so it's like it's a weird area that I think that they didn't capitalize on. Also because the trilogy, you only had Manfred for the first game, and you only really had you didn't know who Franziska was until the second game, and then you had...
And then they build her up to be a bigger character than Manfred ever was.
Yeah, so like I think in the development of the trilogy, they didn't think of it that far.
Yeah, my guess is as most games are, were probably developed as, okay, this is going to be a one-off game, and then once it became a success, they were like, okay, well, got to build something out, but we already wrote out this big character, so we can only use him in flashbacks, but what if he had a relative?
Yeah, and I love it because when she's introduced, she's like, I'm gonna get revenge on you, Phoenix Wright, and the entire time, Nick thinks that it's because he got her dad executed, but in reality, she's like, I'm going to get revenge on what you did to my brother, or her quote-unquote little brother. And I always thought that was really heartwarming because it kind of gives you an idea. Yeah, it gives you an idea of their relationship. Like, my friend Marion, I got her into the Ace Attorney series, and she's playing the final case of Trials and Tribulations right now. And there's a part where an earthquake happens, and obviously...
This is the clip that I saw the other day.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, what's it called? Because, like, Phoenix thinks of Edgeworth the moment that the earthquake happens. But there's like a part where like they're talking to Edgeworth and like seeing if he's okay, and instead of like whipping Edgeworth, she whips Nick instead. And it's kind of like one of those little things that upon first playthrough you wouldn't really notice, or unless you like spend enough time like getting to know these characters, that you would realize that it's a way that she shows, even though she's talking to Edgeworth and telling him to go rest because a clearly triggering event has occurred, she is redirecting her physical aggression because she cares about him, and she knows that like it's going to affect Edgeworth further if she does that, and so it's like out of a respect thing.
Yeah.
You know, like they share Swiss rolls at the end of JFA, and they actually bring that back in Investigations, where they share Swiss rolls in a courthouse. It's really cute.
Aw.
But yeah.
And my guess is that they aren't Swiss rolls in the original game, because one of the other just fantastic points of the series is the localization team is one of the most talented, and also you can tell they are having some of the most fun of any localization team in gaming, because there's a lot of stuff in Ace Attorney that is language-based, particularly with the names, and those names aren't gonna translate. The fact that they were able to maintain a pun in every single name and make them hit, and just, there is the thing of, okay, you know, Maya loves burgers, and just that you have the obviously Americanized things, but the fact that they're able to make it that these jokes and these names land, and even if there is some localization, that it feels more fun and silly than obtrusive.
Yeah, like even just with Phoenix Wright, like his name is Ryuichi Naruhodo, and Naruhodo is like when you say like I see, or is that so, like that's what when something happened like in Japanese, and which is like a pun in and of itself, whereas like you if you are familiar with how Phoenix Wright turns cases around, how it's always a turnabout, that's where Phoenix comes from, and it's in reference to the fact that he has this ability to turn cases around, even though it feels like it's been lost. And then the right thing is just like, is that right, Mr. Wright? Like it's literally in the first game, Mia says it. She goes, is that right? Right? And you're like, eh?
Yeah, and honestly, his name is one of the most subtle puns that you have. Just the first attorney that you go against is Winston Payne.
Oh my gosh, I was talking about this yesterday. So there's Winston Payne and Gaspin Payne. Gaspin Payne is Winston's brother. So you got Winst in pain, and then you gasp in pain.
Yep.
And I think that's fantastic, especially because they're supposed to be quote unquote like rookie killers or something.
Yeah,
like
they're supposed to be the ones that.
Yeah. And so like, I think that's fantastic. Or like in Japanese, I don't remember his first name, but I know that his last name is supposed to be like ouch. It's supposed to like, it's a romanization noise of the word ouch, which is fantastic as well. Like it's so good. Like there's so many what's it called? Like good puns in this game. I'm trying to think of another one that I really enjoy.
Well, there's Dick Gumshoe, which I suppose isn't quite a pun, but
no, but it's play on the detective thing.
Yeah, you have lot of heart, like we mentioned.
A big heart, yeah. Salmonella.
Yeah, oh gosh, I forgot about that one. that one was.
He's so gross. I don't care if he created Steel Samurai. He sucks. Gosh. But like, there's so like he's disgusting. But like, there's so many like Wendy Oldbag.
Yes.
Windy Oldbag.
Mm-hmm.
Red White from Blue Corp. Red White, and Blue.
Corp.
Viola Cadaverini. Cadaver, she's in the Mafia.
Yeah.
Glenn Elg is what is the thing? What is that word where it's spelled the same forwards and backwards?
Oh, palindrome.
Palindrome. Glenn Elg, a palindrome.
Yeah, just they have to sit down and take time and be like, all right, so this is the character, this is what they're doing. How can we make a pun out of this?
Yeah.
Because these aren't necessarily, you know, everyday puns that you would expect, but as soon as you read them, they click.
Yes. And like some of them, I'm not gonna lie, I've been playing this game for way too long, and I'm still like very belatedly getting puns. Like what was one that I recognized the other day, or like in a case? I can't remember, but there was one, and people were like, you've been playing this for how long and you just got it? And I was like, I didn't pay attention. I was so invested in like the characters that I knew and that I liked. Man, I wish I could remember what it was, but I was like, oh, I get it. I was so baffled. But there are so many good ones. I'm trying to like, my brain is like going on, like, what's it called? One of my mods, when I first met him, I tell this story a lot just because I feel like it's a good representation of how much I love this game. And I was doing my first subathon, and he like made a joke. He was like, if you like Ace Attorney, name all the characters. And I was like, okay, bet. And I think I got to about 70 or so characters before my entire chat was like, please stop. Can you please just stop? I was like, but I'm not done. I have to get through all of them. And I was naming them off from memory too. And then I would go on little tangents where I'd Google their name and then I'd show them all the lore that I was already talking about and be like, see, I am right.
I'm not
like,
making this up. It is actually this absurd.
Yeah. So like that's basically what it was. And I got to like, I think it was like 78 or something. And people were like, please stop. Please, I don't want to know any more names. And I was like, but that's only like the first 4 games. We still have another like 5 games to go. And they're like, please no. So I love this game. It's so good.
It's a very good series. And it's one I feel just, I'm glad that it has obtained the cult following it has, because I still feel that it is woefully underrated.
Yeah, it's gotten a huge following again, like a new following in the past couple of years due to the remaster of the trilogy. I'm waiting. I heard that they were remastering Apollo Justice, Dual Destinies, and Spirit of Justice. And that's gonna be really cool because well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Dual Destinies or Spirit of Justice, but like Apollo Justice is a really great follow-up to the trilogy. Like, it's so good. And like it sucks because like even right now I'm like, man, I can play Apollo Justice. But the thing is, like, I'm trying to play all the Ace Attorney games in order so that way my
you have to wait. But I
want to play it. That's the problem. But like, it's so good, and like it did a really great job, I think, of introducing new characters, whereas Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice I don't think does the same. I think Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice had a lot to live up to with Apollo Justice, and it didn't meet the expectations. But I'm also biased, I think, in just the fact that I love the trilogy so much. In the fandom itself, I was in the fandom for a really long time, where it's just kind of like there's a slight divide where what's it called, like there's people who love the trilogy and there's people who love the characters after the trilogy more than the other, and like I love them all, but the trilogy just has a special place in my heart. And yeah, so there's like a bunch of stuff going on with it, but like Apollo Justice just had like a really good like one solid story throughout the whole thing. Like, yeah, there's like filler cases and stuff, but it had one solid like through line story for that one game, much like Trials and Tribulations does, which I really loved. And I could say the same for Investigations too. The fact that they're coming out with well, I don't know what it is in English, but Daigakuten Saibon.
Oh yeah, I think it's Great Ace Attorney or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's something like that. I've been calling it the Japanese for years, so I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and that one's basically Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, so it's a prequel. It's a quote-unquote prequel because they are the ancestors of like all the characters that exist, like that, like Simon Blackwell, Phoenix Wright, Miles Edgeworth, etc. So like that's really cool. So the fact that they have chosen to localize it gives me
this
hope.
Is several years after the fact that it came out in Japan in like 19.
Yeah,
Nope, I was wrong.
think
Just looked it up. It
longer than
came out.
that.
No, I just looked it up. It was initially released on July 9th, 2015. Good lord, I didn't realize it was that long.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure it's been longer than that. Because, like, I think that was also around the time Dual Destinies came out. I don't remember. Dual Destinies, Ace Attorney. Oh no, it was a couple years after Dual Destinies. Yeah, because I was about to say, because when Dagyakuten Saibon came out, a lot of people were saying there were certain characters that were ancestors of ones from Dual Destinies. So I knew that Dual Destinies came first. But what's it called? Like, it has been so long that it gives me hope that one day they will localize Investigations 2. The localized Investigations 1, but they didn't do 2 because Investigations 1 didn't do as well.
Yeah, so the weird thing with the Ace Attorney physical release history is honestly, I think, one of the reasons why it is still so underrated, at least in the West. Because for the initial trilogy, they didn't print that many units. I remember when I was trying to find them back in the day, I had to, scour around going to multiple GameStops and figuring out, like, okay, who has copies of this thing? Because they made them, but they didn't make a ton. It took me forever to find Trials and Tribulations in particular, because my guess is that, as you normally have with sequels, that if the initial one didn't do so well, that they're going to reduce the print run.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, they went all out with Investigations. I remember I could find Investigations at any GameStop very easily. And after that, I don't remember any of them getting a physical release. Well, they did Apollo Justice, but that one also had a pretty small print run.
Yeah.
And they went too far on Investigations, and after that, they became really gun-shy.
Yeah, I remember, so like when I first got into Ace Attorney, I found it was like, I was at a GameStop and I had to figure out which one was the first game, because I couldn't figure out which one it was, because the entire trilogy was there and it was out already, and Apollo Justice hadn't come out yet either, and they had all 3 of them in a row, and I picked Trials and Tribulations first because it kept talking about flashbacks and history, so I was like, oh, that's obviously the first one! And so I actually played them backwards. I played it Trials and Tribulations, Justice for All, and then Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Wow, that has to have created a really interesting narrative progression.
It was an interesting experience, I'm not gonna lie, because I was meeting characters that I had never seen before and just kind of accepting it.
Meanwhile, the characters in game are like, oh, it's you again.
Yeah, and so I just didn't get it. But the great thing is it didn't affect my experience at all.
Yeah, because even when characters are brought back, that they reintroduce them and give context to, as you normally do, just, in case players have forgotten or whatever. So I can easily see where you would play through this and it wouldn't be hindering to the point where it would overly impact your enjoyment of the game. But I have to imagine it was a bit, just a bit off kilter at certain parts. And then at what point did you finally realize, oh, I did this backwards?
When I got to the first game.
Oops.
Because I didn't Google it or anything, and I was playing like blindly. I didn't have like a walkthrough or anything. And so I played Trials and Tribulations, save scumming like crazy, and then I played JFA because a friend let me borrow it before I bought my own copy. And then I got the first Ace Attorney game. And I actually pulled them all out. I found my DS the other day and I was like, I found all my DS games. And then I got to the first game and I was like, oh, this explains what happened in Trials and Tribulations. Oh, okay, I get it. I understand why Edgeworth is this way. I see. I understand now. This makes sense. Like, it slowly came together.
It was the Oron light bulb moment.
Yeah. It was basically that. But it the great thing about Ace Attorney that I've learned is that you could start from any of the games and still have a really great experience.
Yeah, they
I
kept
mean,
them
there's a
accessible.
reason. Yeah, like there's a reason why they put the tutorial at the beginning of every single case.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, for me as a returning player, I'm like, I get it. I've played this before. I've done this. I know how to play. But like, if you were like me and you picked it up randomly at the end, then like, how were you supposed to know, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, what's it called? Ace Attorney is one of those games that I'm like, I hope that if I make any sort of impression on anybody, I hope people know that I sing, I'm a sheep, and I love Ace Attorney. That's like my thing.
Hey, it's a thing that, you know, it's a bit unfortunate, but that does make you stand out because not as many people as there should be, you know, stan Ace Attorney. So,
Yeah.
thank you for your contribution and your hard work.
Thank you so much. Like, I've met very few Ace Attorney fans, so every time I meet one, I'm like, hello.
Oh yeah, it's just
hello.
as soon as you find someone who's like, oh my gosh, we can talk about this. Ah,
Yeah, exactly. And like, and the thing is, I have a tendency to like really kind of like obscure things. So like, the moment I get to talk to somebody, or like not even obscure, like things that are kind of not up to date, like Auron. I don't know that many people who like Auron the same way that I do anymore, because it came out in 2008.
it's weird to think of how old it is. It's still like, this is what it feels
Like,
like to get old. To get old, I suppose. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's been that long, and you know, Auron, its production quality has held up over the years. That you can tell it's not necessarily super new. But if you told me this was made 3-5 years ago, or even today, like there are some that still have the production quality
it's
of
over
Auron.
10
That
years
it is,
old, which is crazy.
yeah, just and it still works. And Ace Attorney, while the graphics of the original game aren't going to be something that would, you know, come out today, the game quality and the gameplay absolutely holds up over time.
Oh, 100%. Like, and the thing is too, there are so many games that people, that like, if you like Ace Attorney, you know you'll like another kind of game. Like, I get always recommend, people always tell me to play like Danganronpa, even though I've like, I know the whole series, or like, what is that other one?
Probably Professor Layton, because that was the other one.
No. There was another one. It's a guy. It's like a blonde guy, and he can't. He's dead, and then like he can inhabit Ghost Trick. So like I played Ghost Trick, and I'm also familiar with Danganronpa. So it's like the great thing about Ace Attorney is that like that style of gameplay is you can it's like there are other games that are like it, and if you really like the one style, it's influenced other types of games to create similar ones, and so like because of that consistency, you know, you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know.
See, Ellie and Booster in the chat are familiar with Ghost Trick as well. They called out that one apparently made by the same team.
Oh yeah, Ghost Trick. I've also played that, like I just said. I really liked Ghost Trick. It's a really good story, and like there's a lot of like fandom stuff where people do crossovers because
now that's one I'm just completely unfamiliar with. Was this also
so
on the
good.
DS or?
Yeah, it's more like stylus and more puzzle heavy. Because you're a ghost and you're trying to prevent certain characters from dying, and
Gotcha.
so like it's really cool. Like I honestly I played it on my iPod. I played it on my iPod when I first played it. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get it on the DS. I played it on my iPod. Because it was
look
like
this one up now.
It's really great. I really like it. The story's really awesome, and it's just kind of like I also was really obsessed with it for a really long time. Because I cut into Ace Attorney, and that's actually on my list of like things to stream, because I'm like, okay, I'll finish all the Ace Attorney games, and then I'm gonna play the new Ace, like I'm gonna play Dagyakuten Saibon, and then I'm gonna play Ghost Trick, and I'm like, I gotta do that, but I also have to get through all the Ace Attorney games, and it took me like 6 months to just do one. So
yeah,
we'll
hey, if
probably
nothing else,
be
they're
in,
meaty
like,
games, lots of content to get there.
yeah, like honestly, it'll be like 2030 by the time I get to play Ghost Trick.
Well, no, because what's going to happen is more Ace Attorney games are going to come out in that time, and then you're just never going to get to Ghost Trick because they'll keep stacking on.
I know, but I really want another Ace Attorney game. But I also want to play Ghost Trick. I don't win. There's not enough hours in the day.
This is the modern day problem, the just, you know, embarrassment of riches, and it goes for anime and games nowadays, that it used to be, you know,
Yeah.
a scour to find something good to play or to watch, and just, you know, for anime, as soon as another 4-episode VHS comes out, you're gonna get it, and then you're waiting. But now we have so many good options, both anime and games, that
Yeah,
you never
because
get
they
to
come
all of
out
it.
in seasons, and
Yeah.
the season is like 3 months long. So I'm like, I can't finish games on stream in 3 months unless I literally streamed 7 days a week, and I'm not going to do that. Like, I love streaming, but I'm not gonna stream 7 days a week. That is like some actual poppycock. I'm not gonna do that.
But hey, at least you always will have something to fall back on. I definitely plan to, like, I've missed your last several Ace Attorney streams. I'm going to try and see a couple of them because, obviously, you know, as we've established, you love them, and the clips I've seen are just great because despite the fact that you've played them before, you're still just having a ball.
Yeah, because what's it called? I think for me, so I play the whole series over. I play the whole series every single year from start to finish. I do it every year. I don't know why I do this, but I've always done it. And like, excuse me, and for me, it's getting the opportunity to share it with other people who haven't been exposed to Ace Attorney.
Yeah.
And like, Ace Attorney is a lot of reading. Like, I don't blame people for not wanting to sit there and play it, but the fun thing about getting to stream it and provide that to an audience is the fact that I get to voice all the characters, and I get to talk with people who are experiencing it for the first time and getting to know the characters and answer questions or give them fun facts about the game and the characters that you wouldn't see in the game without having looked at interviews or anything like that. And I can also create funny jokes where, like, yesterday we were talking about like making like an Ace Attorney musical, like an English musical, and I just sang as Gumshoe. I like did the Gumshoe voice, and I started singing about, hey, Mr. Edgeworth, I would like 10 extra cents so I can buy my cup noodle from the convenience store. And I just sang about that for about 2 minutes. And then, I think if you, especially, and this is just like a creator performer thing in general, I think if there's any sort of thing that you enjoy, you can create hours and hours and hours of content just because you like it.
Oh yeah. No, just
So,
I do a lot of other things outside of this show. There was a reason I only do this show once a week because I also just have, you know, other things. And honestly, one of them is actually doing a stream with another friend of mine where we will play through visual novels and we just voice all the characters. So I am very, very familiar with the type of fun you're talking about of just, you know, and especially when it's one that I haven't played before, of figuring out, okay, I don't know if this character is major or not yet. So I need to, one, place their voice with effectively no context, and then do different voices to make sure they're still distinguishable enough as the cast gets built up over the course of the game, and hope that I haven't wasted a particularly fun voice on a bit character that only shows up in one scene.
yeah, exactly. Like, even me, like, no matter how many times I've played it, like, you can only take in, like, the scene for scene so many times before it kind of goes over your head. Like, I can tell you the entire plot of Ace Attorney without having to play it, obviously, but I can't tell you, like, frame by frame what's happening and who's going to speak. So, like, especially because I'm only one person. I don't really stream visual novels with other people. It's just a personal preference for me. So like I have to get really creative about like vocal placement, energy, and speech patterns to make every character distinct.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I know for me that I take a lot of pride in, is that when people come to my streams, they go, "Oh, the voice actors for this game I didn't are really like weird. Is that okay?" Or like some people, like yesterday someone was like, "These voice actors are kind of funny." And I was like, "You mean just me?" You mean just me? It's only me who's voicing all of them. Or like someone will come into the game and be like, "Oh, I didn't realize they started voicing these," and I'm like, "No, that's me." Like I take a lot of pride in that, so I try to be really focused on those little nuances that make every character very unique, especially in a game like Ace Attorney with over 100 characters. You have to be very specific.
For sure, yeah. When I play the games with my friend is the protagonist, and I'm everyone else. So I have to also, reach deep into that bag of tricks and figure out, okay, different accents, tones, inflections, volumes, and and it's a lot of fun of just creating these different voices and figuring out and going back and forth, because it's a challenge as an actor just keeping up with everything and being able to carry them all and be like, okay, wait a minute, which accent was this character? Oh yes, and just keep things rolling.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good challenge, and I think it's a good way for people to practice thinking on their feet.
Yeah.
Just in general. Like we were talking about this before the show started, how like improvisational skills in any situation, whether it's performative or even just a life skill, I think it's a pretty necessary skill.
Oh yeah. And it's one that translates, as we were talking before the stream, just so well to live streaming, that being able to roll with the punches, just go along with stuff, hopefully turn it around into something that's fun or even memorable. And I suppose now that we're getting into this, let's just get into the topic that I've been frankly sandbagging. We're over an hour in now, so let's talk acting, because acting is something that is near to you, it's near to me, it's something that I don't get to talk with my other guests. When we were speaking earlier in the week, I usually tell my guests, if you can be online about 30 minutes ahead of time, that way we can do audio, visual check and everything. And you, unprompted, said, "So what's the call time?" And I was like, oh my gosh, I can use that term with you.
That's what it's called.
It is. But it's something that just not necessarily everyone knows it. So I just sort of, speak it out and say, if you can be here so we can do audio checks and everything. But just that moment of, oh, wait a minute, I can, use this jargon that I've sort of actively been repressing within myself, because I understand that not everyone is familiar with it. That's when I knew, oh gosh. I didn't realize
that people didn't know that, I guess. I mean, like, maybe it's just because
and maybe I don't give people enough credit. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't give people enough credit, but.
Well, what's it called? Like, I don't think it's common knowledge to be calling it a call time. Most people call it like their meeting, or this is the time we're doing a collab, or we're hanging out and stuff like that. So I don't think that call time is a very common terminology, or like a common term that's used for that kind of stuff. But like I just am so used to it. I was like, oh yeah, call time is this, sound check is this, mic check. And all that stuff, and then you got the green room and all that kind of thing. I was like, okay, cool. Let's just let me know what time everything is, because like I'm used to getting like the call sheet in the email, and then I look for my name, and then there's the call time, and then my call time, and then party. Just gotta make sure
Stage
I'm there
script,
on time.
Production script. Whatever you want to call it. There, just so. When did you start acting? Or actually, no. Let's rewind a bit more.
Okay.
Do you recall a moment or a performance or something that made you first say, "Ooh, acting is something that I'm interested in"?
To be honest, I have been performing since I was young. the first very distinct performance I ever have, that I remember at least, was for church. And I burned a CD onto a cassette tape, and it was a song, I think it was by Amy Grant, and it's like, angels watching over me, or something like that. And I remember doing that, and then like as I got older, I did choir when I was in elementary school, and in middle school, I took a break from it my like 8th grade year or something, and then I started singing, and then I started doing lessons in high school. I can't really think.
So I guess for you, it wasn't necessarily seeing something that made you want to do it, but that you had an opportunity, and in taking it, the light bulb went off and just realized, oh wait, I really enjoy this and I want to do this more.
Yeah, because I'm very ambitious. Like and arts have always been on the table. My family is very musical. They love music, and I grew up going to concerts. Like I think my first concert, well, my parents like to joke that my first concert was when my mom was pregnant with me. They went to a Boston concert, and that was my first concert. And but my first concert that I consciously remember going to, I was like 4. So so it's always been like a thing that's always been there, and it's always been part of my life. I don't know life without singing or acting and dancing, but I didn't consciously realize that it was something that not everyone could pursue, because it was so accessible, because I was doing performances at church, at school, like wherever I could perform, I was doing that. And I didn't recognize that they were separate things until I was like, I think 10. Well, because I was just like, oh, everybody sings and dances in their house. Like, that's a thing.
Of course, why not?
Yeah, and so, because we were listening to like Erasure in my house, like while we cleaned. And like at the age of 10, I remember seeing Ashley Tisdale in Suite Life of Zack and Cody as Maddie Fitzpatrick, who is a very sassy, very sarcastic, down-to-earth character. But then she was in High School Musical as Sharpay, who is very dramatic, very ambitious, very over the top. And the two characters are so polar opposite. And I was so like, oh my gosh, you can do that? You can do that on the television. You don't have to, like, that's a thing. And it started to become less of like, this is something that I just can do all the time, to this more tangible goal where I understood what steps I had to take to make it a career for myself. So from 7 to the age of 10, I wanted to be a teacher. At the age of 10, I saw Ashley Tisdale become Sharpay Evans. And then I said, I want to be an actor. And I haven't wanted to change.
Never turned back.
Since. Yeah, because after that, I kept doing chorus, except my 8th grade year of middle school, I switched over to sports for a little bit. And then all through high school, I did drama classes, and then I was in all of the musicals and plays and stuff. And then I started taking voice lessons as well when I got to high school. Or no. When I was in 7th grade, I started voice lessons. And then I did show choir my last 2 years of high school, and then I went to acting school.
That's super interesting, because I always like hearing people's sort of origin stories there, because mine is weird. My mother did a little bit of theater in high school, but most of what she did was backstage. I think she was on stage for some bit parts. My father, I'm 90% sure, is tone deaf. He has no musical or theatrical ability whatsoever, and when he tries to sing, it's usually off key. But they were, as with yours, I'm just very fortunate that they were both very supportive. That I did sports when I was, up until about 10, and I didn't dislike sports, but I always got placed on teams with a lot of jerks, so I sort of drifted away from that. The first time I did something that was akin to acting was in 3rd grade. It was for the talent show, and I couldn't think of anything to do. And I don't remember if it was my parents or somebody else that mentioned, well, they have MCs who, you know, introduce all the acts, and they're doing auditions for it. And, you know, you're really good at talking and memorizing, because that's, like, I'll get into it a bit more of just my memorization and how that's a very core thing of me as an actor.
Yeah.
But they're like, you know, try for that. And lo and behold, I got it. And for a 3rd grader to get MC in the talent show was not a really heard of thing. And I really enjoyed it. The lines for introducing all of the acts were provided, so it was just, you know, memorizing it and selling it. But I enjoyed it, and I was like, hey, I have the best act in the show because I'm on stage every 5 minutes. Everybody else only gets 5 minutes of their own in one part of the show. So I was like, this is the best thing. This is better than being in the show. So I enjoyed that. Didn't get into theater that much in middle school. I was mostly in band at that point, but
that's fair. I also did band.
And then my freshman year of high school, I heard that they were doing Cinderella. And Cinderella growing up was my favorite Disney movie. I adored Jacques and all the mice, and it holds a very special place in my heart. And so I sought out the drama teacher, and I got the information on how to audition. And I asked her,
You're talking Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, right?
You beat me to the punchline. You beat me to the punchline.
Sorry.
Because yes, that's exactly what happened. I'm talking with the drama director, and I like, so how are you gonna do Jacques and the Mice? And she just gave me this look. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, well, you know how the mice are really main characters. And she was like, no, they're not. And then she realized that I was thinking the wrong thing. Explained, oh no, this is a different one. This is a classic version by Rodgers and Hammerstein. I was like, oh.
I was like, that's why I'm so confused. I'm like listening to your story. And
Yep. No, that's exactly how it went.
I don't think the mice are the Rodgers and Hammerstein, but I don't want to tell you that because
no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So I considered, and I was like, I'll audition anyways. It seems like fun, and I have a couple of friends that are in the drama club because at my high school, there was a ton of overlap between band and drama. The two directors had a very good working relationship, and that even if you were in the marching band during the fall play, because it was fall play, spring musical for us, that if you had to miss a small handful of band rehearsals for blocking or vice versa, that the drama director would do her best to avoid scheduling people who she knew were in band for blocking on days that there were there was after school band rehearsal, and the drama director, or the band director rather, would then be flexible when it got to tech week and stuff of, okay, if you need to miss a couple of rehearsals, it's fine. And they worked very well together like that, and it allowed me and several others to be in both, where I know at some other schools that's just not an option at all. But starting with Cinderella, I really fell into it. And then I was in every show after that throughout my years at high school. I mentioned Kiss Me Kate. That was my sophomore year musical. I was one of the two gangsters. They don't have names. It's just called Man 1 and Man 2.
Yeah.
But I got to sing Brush Up Your Shakespeare.
Nice. My high school did Kiss Me Kate my freshman year of college. So actually, I went back to go watch it. Because I had friends obviously still who were in high school, so I went back to go see it. And Kiss Me Kate is like one of those like pretty iconic golden age musicals that I really enjoy. I was actually talking about golden age musicals yesterday on stream. Cause like, what's it called? When I was in high school, I did Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. And, like actually one of the songs from The Music Man is also in my, audition book.
Which one?
So like, Till There Was You.
Okay, yep, makes sense.
And there was music and there were wonderful roses. That one. So it's like, Kiss Me Kate is like one of those like, it's very classic style comedy. especially for that time period and
Yeah.
how they wrote musicals. Like, it's the same kind of comedy that is for Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Are you familiar with Seven Brides?
I am not. It's one that I've heard the name, but I don't know the full plot.
It's not one that would hold up well in 2021.
Oh, dear.
Morally. It's basically about these seven brothers who go try to just marry these girls, and then they have to get permission from their dad, and so they steal the girls, or they kidnap them, and there's only one sole female who is trying to show them that women can be really powerful, but it's got all of these weird 60s obviously women deserve to stay at home undertones. I mean, it's a golden age musical. I don't really know what anyone
product of its time for sure.
So it's so but it's definitely one of those, but the music is really lovely. I really like it. The music is really nice. I love golden age anything, golden age Disney. I love the music, I love the art style. I think it's fantastic. Golden age musicals, love the sound. I love the costume work. I love the way that when you put them on a movie screen, the colors are kind of grainy. I love that. I think it's fantastic. Themes, not so much, but the production value, I love.
Yes. Yeah. Another thing of restrictions breed creativity, that you think about what they had to work in terms of tech back in the day and what they were able to do.
Oh my gosh, and the weird hours they have to do in order to get the right lighting. Can you
oh gosh, especially if you're talking as far back as ones where it's open theaters or ones that are not working with artificial lighting, that even more so.
Yeah, exactly. It's just and the thing is they can't do several takes of something. It's the Carol Burnett show, right? All live, all in one go. I mean, in films they had to cut the tape and then glue it together and stuff.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you tried to get everything. You treated it like it was a theater production that could be filmed, and I find that very respectable. And the actors from that time period to be phenomenal. Carol Burnett, like I just said. I mean, Liza Minnelli, she's a questionable lady, but extremely talented.
Dick Van Dyke, Lucille Ball.
Exactly. So just incredible performers. Barbara Streisand,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I love that. I just love that time period. On my free time, I'll watch the Judy Garland show,
Oh, yeah. Hey, no, those and, the I Love Lucy, Dick Van Dyke show, those are ones that you look back and you say, wow, they ran for a long time, and you watch them again and you say, wow, I see why they ran for a long time.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what the production, the quality of the story and the skill of their performers were absolutely phenomenal. And so for me, I grew up on a lot of shows that are on TV land now. What's it called? Green Acres. It's one of my favorites.
I don't know that one.
You don't? Oh my gosh. It's basically this Ava Gabor, she's in it. She's the voice actor. She plays Duchess in the Aristocats. She's in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm looking it up right now.
And it's basically this high class family, or couple rather, and the husband says he's tired of the city life, so he buys a farm, and they try to adjust to, and it's a comedy, and they try to adjust to farm living. And because they don't have any more casual clothing, they're literally this in a 3-piece suit.
Yeah, just sticking out like a sore thumb. The you could almost call it, you know, a old-time live-action isekai of just, you know, brought into a completely different world, and and you have so much sitcom gold there of anyone who's put into a uncomfortable or unfamiliar situation, and that is a basis of a show. I can absolutely see how that would work.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. I mean, and it was also in color too, which was really incredible. But like I like Green Acres, Mr. Ed. My parents really loved like MASH, and Hogan's Heroes. And other favorites of mine were I Love Lucy, obviously. And the Andy Griffith Show is really classic.
Yeah.
Bewitched and like I Dream of Jeannie. Those are really big ones. Just like classic storytelling comedy is like I love it. I just love it so much.
Yeah.
So, what's it called? I was gonna say something about older television that I really love, and I can't remember what it was. Because like for me, so like I tend to focus on comedy the most. Because I like to think I'm haha tee funny. But like my storytelling and like my style of comedy is very much inspired by like things like Carol Burnett's The Carol Burnett Show, and like I Love Lucy.
And that's certainly natural that someone's tastes and styles and abilities are going to be very based on what they grew up with, what they're familiar with. So I can absolutely see where that would all come into play for you.
Yeah. So, that's what I wanted to say. I love, because my brain goes burr, burr, but like, I said Barbara Streisand earlier, and then I was like, and then we were talking about, and then I mentioned the Judy Garland Show, and then she sang the song Get Happy with Judy Garland, which is a really beautiful duet that they also did on Glee. But then I was like, oh, you know, another really good movie is that, and that's also a musical, is Funny Girl. And then a really fun, cool fact. So like, you know Breakfast at Tiffany's, right?
I know of it. I have not seen it.
Are you familiar with Audrey Hepburn at all?
Yes.
Okay, so Audrey Hepburn was in Breakfast at Tiffany's, and that's how she got a lot of her popularity. And so on Broadway, our lovely Julie Andrews, our lovely Mary Poppins, she was on Broadway as Eliza Doolittle for the original Broadway cast of My Fair Lady. And so when they decided to make it a movie, they didn't cast Julie Andrews. They cast Audrey Hepburn because they wanted to bank on her popularity for the movie. And not that Audrey Hepburn isn't a lovely singer or isn't a fabulous actress, because she's absolutely stunning. But
Julie Andrews is Julie Andrews.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's Julie Andrews. Like, that is one of the most iconic, like, musical legends for theater and entertainment, at least in my eyes. Like, you say Julie Andrews, and 9 times out of 10, even if they don't know her by name, they know something she's been in, and she I mean, she did Mary Poppins.
Yeah, no, Mary Poppins is how I know her. That, like I mentioned, my mother only did a little bit of theater, my father none. So this is part of why I have these gaps in my knowledge of, you know, classic theater, because a lot of it I just had to discover myself. But my mother was a huge Dick Van Dyke fan. So I grew up seeing Mary Poppins, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Dick Van Dyke Show.
Bang Bang, so good!
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I was actually singing this the other day, the truly scrumptious. You're truly, truly scrumptious. And then what is that one song that she sings? What do you do? Do, 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 do. I don't remember the words.
Music box that's wound by a key.
Oh yeah, that's wound by a key.
How can you tell I'm under a spell?
I'm waiting for love's first kiss.
And then he comes in and he's like the little rag doll thing. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
favorite
so-
song from that movie is the Posh Posh. The Posh
Posh,
Posh.
posh, the traveling life, the traveling life to me.
First coming Captain Table
Regal Company. Oh gosh,
That
he
was
only gets
so
one song,
good.
but it's a good one.
I know, but that's the one that always sticks out to me. Like out of all the songs, I mean, even out of the title sequence,
Mm-hmm.
like someone when I talk about like my Edgeworth voice, I usually I say the word posh and then I start singing that to myself and people are like, what are you singing? And I'm like, you missed out on a great missed out on a great movie, okay? It's called Change in Bangor.
Educate yourself.
It's incredible. I'm going to make you guys, because in my community we watch movies every Friday, so I'm always like, I'm going to make you watch this. You don't have a choice. And if you miss it, that's your fault.
Yep. This hype train stops for nobody.
Oh, but it's so good. But yeah, like Dick Van Dyke is so talented. I remember when like the first time I watched him play villain in something, I was like, huh?
Oh yeah,
Like,
he played villain in Nightmare at the Museum.
I was just about to say Nightmare at the Museum.
And just it's jarring if you know him and his work, because he's never a villain.
Because you know him as like Bird, and he's like trying to cheer you up, and he's like, "Oh well, Mary Poppins." Like you're like he makes you smile.
Oh, yeah,
like the
and just,
Dick
like,
Van
even in
Dyke show is
interviews
a funny
and just-
show.
Yeah.
It's so funny, like, and I just think that's incredible. Like the fact that he can. I mean, and what's it called? I think even now, like the man is in his 90s, and I'm pretty sure he could still do some of the things
yeah,
that he
no.
used to do.
Like, apparently
Which
he
is
still works out a
insane.
ton and just like is in great shape and you know,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
like,
he's so
what?
good.
Yeah, like I just what's it called? Like he's so talented. He has such an incredible like resume of like just stuff.
Yeah. Just,
Oh, but what I was saying before, sorry, I just
oh,
remembered.
all good, all good.
So when Julie Andrews didn't take My Fair Lady or didn't get My Fair Lady, that's how she got Mary Poppins.
Oh well,
and-
who won there?
Mary Poppins, because
Yep.
well, what's it called? She actually has this speech that I think is super iconic. She like because she and Audrey Hepburn were up for the Oscar
Were they both
that
up for
year.
Best Actress?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that part.
And she won, right? It was like in like I think it was like 64, 63. And I remember she's like says like she's like, thank you. Oh, this is so nice. Thank you so much. I know like you American people are like, you guys have great hospitality, but this is so nice, because like she's not American. And so she starts doing her thank yous like all the actors do. Like she thanks Disney for the opportunity, and like what's it called? She says this like jab or something at the she says thank you to the guy who directed My Fair Lady, and she goes, thank you, because if you had cast me in My Fair Lady, I never would have won this. Thank you guys, have a good night.
That's amazing.
And it's so
That's just
funny.
it's so good. And just I've had things like that in my life where, you know, I missed out on one opportunity but then got another one that was better, and I've never had the opportunity to be that type of like it's I guess partially petty, partially actually thankful, because you also have to figure out, you know, all right, hopefully they still got someone, they still got a good actress for that role.
Yeah,
And the film wasn't a flop.
got
So
nominated
it's
for
like
an Oscar.
it's a half job, but it's also, you know, like, hey, in a way, it was good, and everyone won here. Like I won this
But also
award,
you
of
missed
course,
out.
but I won a bit more.
Yeah, because she was the original Liza Doolittle, and then you're gonna not cast her in the movie? Like, what? I just think that's so funny. But like the fact that she has the the audacity to do something like that. I find that really commendable.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Have you
But
had any
yeah.
moments in acting, I just not where you've, been able to get that type of jab in, but any particular moments in your acting career where either, a particular performance or a song or something that you just sort of went off stage saying, I'm badass.
Oh. Hmm. I think I wouldn't say that I have like a specific performance, just because so I have done a lot of original projects, and so like the projects that I did, I originated the role, so I have nothing to compare it to.
Well, even if you're not
Um,
necessarily
but
being
like
someone
in
that's being compared to,
general,
but like
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
that you feel, you did really well on and you just,
Yeah. Um, I did a monologue from the show Speech and Debate for an actor's showcase, and I got a lot of agency offers after that monologue, and I felt I did such a good job because I mean, even just like me hanging out, like you can probably tell I'm very like the quirky girl next door character type. Like not like a Galinda, but like if you decided to take Galinda's bubbly personality and then slap it onto Alphaba, that's kind of like what you get.
yeah.
Like so what's it called? I know that was a really big one because I did a monologue and I was so proud of it, and like it really sold all of my skill sets in the like minute and a half you're allowed to have for any monologue you do.
Oh yeah, and that's another, restrictions breed creativity. 90 seconds.
Yeah.
You need to and make it
Well,
stand
actually,
out.
Is it a minute? I think is it a minute and a half? I think it's shorter. But like what's it called? Like it like shows my range. Okay, so it's a minute and a half, yeah. But it like allowed me an opportunity to sing. It showed off my comedic timing. It gave me an opportunity to show my my comedy quirks rather, and allowed me to like play into like my just general timing. And so it was like a monologue that I was very proud of. It suited me very, very well. And I had worked on it and done a lot of like little nuanced things and habits to add to the monologue to make it more unique. And it was just something I was very proud of. It's still in my repertoire of monologues. Like I could do it now if I wanted to, but it's like that. And then what's another one? Oh, I did a musical theater showcase and I sang Notice Me Horton from Seussical. And I've been practicing for a while, so like I'm a belter, so like hitting those top notes like with your belt, it wasn't at the time I hadn't been practicing singing in a musical theater style for very long. I actually, when I first started taking vocal lessons, I started with classical training, and like yeah, that's supposed to like assist you with like other styles of singing. Like Jason Derulo, he is classically trained, but then you hear him go, Derulo, it's too hard to sleep. Got the sheets out the floor, like that kind of thing. And like, but he sings like hip hop and R&B and whatever. But he's classically trained. Pat Benatar, she's classically trained and she sings rock music. So, but the thing is, I was never taught to access other types of muscles or how to put my chest voice into other parts of my and to like have that sound resonate in other parts of my face. So I just was never taught that. And so when I had to learn how to start mixing my voice, that song was a huge part of it. And I remember singing that song and like I got like a standing O, and that was really cool. It was my first time like getting a standing O, so that was really cool. I did a lot of these were for acting showcases. Now that I'm thinking about it,
Hey, well,
I did
showcases are where you get to pick your best stuff, and it's all you for the time you have. So it makes sense that those would be some of the best performances.
Yeah, I mean, I was always really proud of them, and I love doing an actor showcase. I think they're so fun. And I did a scene from Orange Flower Water, and like my scene partner and I, we were practicing everywhere. And all of the practice rooms at my acting school were full, and so we had to go to the library and reserve a private room. But because we were acting, we were like really getting into
being too loud for the private library room. Maybe
we decided to do it as an acting exercise where we had to be aware of our environment. So we were like, lower your voice, like this, and this, and like all that kind of stuff. But the people like next to us, they were like, you could hear them like being like, we hear them fighting. What are they fighting about?
Oh my God! Hey, you sold the performance. You sold the performance.
And like me and my scene partner, like in the middle of the scene, we'd start smiling at each other, but like trying to keep going,
trying not to break character.
And the thing is too, like the doors were made of glass, so anybody could walk by and like look in the room.
And just see you all being super animated and.
Yeah, it's just like the two of us at a table staring at each other, like whispering and yelling and trying to like not cause a scene.
Very intense.
It was so funny, and like that was really that was probably like a huge highlight because we'd leave the library.
That's so good.
And then I was like, and then people, like, I would have people come up to me, like, I'd let my scene partner walk up a little ahead of me, and I was like, wait, I want to try something. And so so he would walk up a little bit ahead of me, and he'd, like, go fill up his water bottle, and people would come up to me, like, are you okay? Like, is your son okay? Like, is there anything? And I was like, yeah, it's fine.
Did you explain, or did you just say, oh, it's fine?
No, I would just be like, oh, I'm so sorry. We're like really loud. I wasn't trying to like be disturbing. It's just we didn't really have another place to talk. My roommate was home, and this was kind of like an important conversation that required.
But you still sold it as this was genuine.
Well, yeah, I didn't know them. They were never gonna see me again. Who cared?
Well, I feel like they probably would have worried a bit less if you were like, yeah, by the way, we were rehearsing for a show.
I mean, we were dressed in all black, which is what we were supposed to wear for like the first 3 years of, no, it was the first 2 years of acting school. And so like, you wore your all black. And so I was like, okay, so like we look like
I suppose kids. So, and if people are familiar with that they might know that off just the visual cue. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, at the time, like I was only my second year of acting school, and so like I was still carrying a lot of the same energy that I did from my freshman year of acting school, where I was like, I'm never gonna see these people again. Who cares what I say to them? Like because I left high school, like I don't I'm never gonna see any of these people again. I don't want to talk to any of them. I don't want. There's nothing that I want to do with anybody in high school. So I have no intent to ever feel uncomfortable saying anything to them. And so why should I feel bad about saying anything to this stranger who, like, yeah, she was very rightfully concerned about the fact that I was yelling and being yelled at with my acting partner. But they don't know that we were just acting. Like, they don't know. And I'd rather just let them live with that truth. And you know what? They probably have this great story to tell now to people.
Oh gosh, I saw
was in college.
This one time I was in the library and saw these two just going at it.
Yeah, like they probably have this great story now. I know I would take it and run with it. I would go with that story. Why not? Makes life more interesting. You're welcome.
Never thought about it that way. I like it though.
Yeah, like I have a lot of stories like that. Like I did another scene with a friend, and he we were learning to act on our impulses. So because a lot of acting is like learning to react naturally and act on the first thing that comes to you.
Yeah.
And so like it was another like scene where we were at dinner and like we were kind of like talking, and then it was a comedic scene where we were trying food for the first time, but I didn't like it, and then he would have to insist that I like it because every time someone would walk by, they couldn't know that we didn't like the food because it would have been rude. And then at the end of the scene, in the script it says that my character threw my drink at the other person, and we bought real food for this. Like, we went to an actual restaurant, and I have a soda, and I was like, and so we got to the end, and he was like, do it. And I was like, I don't want to. I paid for the soda. And he was like, do it. And I was like, and so he just kept yelling, do it. Do it. You won't do it. And I was like, okay, shut up. And so I threw it at him, and then I threw some of the soda at his face, and I guess he didn't realize that I was actually going to do it. I think he thought I was going to walk away and just kind of like enjoy my soda because I paid for it. And then I took it a step maybe a little too far, and I took his drink and my drink and took the full cups of ice and poured them on his head and down his shirt. And then he was playing, and then I left. Because it said in the script that she throws the drink and she leaves.
Hey, and just imagine how many more people you gave stories that day.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I always think. I'm always like, every time I do something wild, I'm giving someone else another story, because I know I do that where I see things and then I tell people like, I saw this today, and I don't know how real it was, but it was real in that moment, and I experienced it, and now you guys get to hear about it. So that's fantastic. I mean, that's just
so good. And I have to imagine, especially going to an acting school, that stuff like that probably happens with greater frequency than in normal life.
Yeah, it did. People were giving tours, like, you know how they give college tours?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So our acting building, there's only 2 floors. Well, there's 3 floors technically, but the bottom floor is a black box theater, so you have to go up the stairs to go to the other classrooms. And while you were waiting for your next class to start, you had to wait for the other students to exit the room before you were allowed to go in. And so it would be like a line of us outside this classroom building reciting our monologues quietly, but the thing is, at the same time, we're like fully emoting. So like, cause you know how like when you do a monologue, you kind of like pick a spot anywhere and you stare at that and you talk to that spot.
Yep.
That's all we were doing, but we were all in a row staring at a brick wall.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sure that if you are on a tour for a acting school, that the people would have understood that, but still, that's such, like, I can imagine this very clearly, because I understand what you mean by, just pick a spot and just, it's absolutely an actor thing to do, of just, oh, we all found a good spot and we're all just, it doesn't matter if you're a group working for the same show, or just maybe that's sort of the monologue wall outside of the acting school where it's known that, people go there and it's just sort of, it's a good spot and a lot of people use it and you come and you go as you please. I can vividly imagine this.
Like, hold on, let me see if I can get this to work. So like, does it? I
see it. So, little sheepy Suga there.
So imagine, right? Okay. So imagine I'm looking at my spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's it called? So like, I'm looking ahead, and then the tour is like going behind me. So instead of like going directly behind me, they take us 2 steps away and go.
Just put that distance between them and you.
Yeah, and it was so funny because there were like 8 of us, all 8 of us in a row staring at a brick wall. and like heavily emoting. And
now, was it that they took these 2 steps of extra distance for the group of 8 or just for you?
For the whole group. Well, because the thing is, you heard the tour guide go, and this is, the tour guide would be like, and this is one of our acting buildings. I hope you have a wonderful time taking a good look at that. And you see the lovely plants on the walls. You see some acting students over there. Don't worry. We can just walk around them. Don't worry.
And you sort of hear them, the steps as they go behind you.
Yeah, you're like, and the thing is, like, so the thing that I learned that year, I didn't learn my monologue until about 5 minutes before class started. So, because I just didn't do homework. And so, like, I couldn't break character or anything because I was trying to learn my monologue really fast. And I mean, it's a great skill to have, like, but don't do it the way I did it. But like, they would like walk around you, and it was so funny. And then a bunch of us, like, we just like laughed about it later. It was really great.
What is your favorite role that you've ever done? It could be one that you originated or one that's, in an established show. It could be either because you feel it was your best performance in a role or just the role you had the most fun in. But what is that one favorite role for you, if you can choose one? And I know it's a tough question because just as an actor, you have to get heavily invested in every role you do.
It's gonna sound like a cop-out, but I don't have one, and not for the reason that that one would normally think. So like, normally people are like, I don't have one, they're all great. I don't get attached like that to the roles that I play. They're great learning experiences, and I love the opportunity to perform, and I love the fact that I get to explore a character and bring myself into it. But I've never had a production that I've been a part of where I was like, I wish this would never end. I've never had that feeling. Because I respect all of it. And I think because I go in with such a, like, I get, not that I'm not excited, but it's, to me, it's all kind of the same. Like, and not because, like, projects are boring or something like that, and not that like I can't, learn something from every experience or watch actors that I get to, and then I get to see the tools that they're using and apply them to my own performances. It's just because it all feels at the same level of 1,000 and excitement, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair and legitimate. That I can definitely see that, and especially, I feel like the deeper you get into acting, the more that mindset ends up prevailing, because you're not the first person I've spoken to who's had an answer along those lines, even if not in those exact words. It's just that you love the craft, you love the experience, not necessarily the role, and each role is a different flavor, and it's its own experience, but you don't necessarily have a particular, standout. And sometimes that means you might not have just found, your role of a lifetime yet, because sometimes people do find that one, even if they didn't think they could. I have a couple friends who just for the longest time, had that mindset and then eventually found the one. And then others who had it for a long time, they were like, this is my favorite role. And then eventually they tended towards your current mindset of, as either the nostalgia or just newness of whatever that favorite role was wears off, that they end up towards the more holistic view. So both mindsets are completely fair there, and that's still really cool.
Yeah, like we had this conversation. Because Waitress the musical is my favorite musical, or one of the two. And like that was that musical didn't come out until 2016, and that was the first time I felt like I had a favorite role, or because like everyone that I knew was like, oh, I dream about being this role. I would love to be in Urinetown, blah. And I'd be like, okay, I just want to be in stuff. Like, I don't really care what it is. I just want to be in stuff. And I still feel that way. Like, I don't care what the project is, as long as like it doesn't go against like my morals or my boundaries. But if there's something that's available that I can be a part of, I just want to be a part of it. I don't think too hard about the role that I'm given. I just want to be in it.
Yeah, it's the thrill of performance.
Yeah, like that's the part that I care about the most. Because I will give every character that I play the same amount of love. I will do the same amount of research and homework for every single one. There's no like extra mile that I won't go for a character. I mean, within reason, like extra mile within reason, like I'll stay up and research and watch a documentary that I never would have watched in the first place. I'm not gonna go out and like dress up like the character and eat the same meals as them for like 6 days straight. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna turn into like Daniel Day-Lewis, you know?
Yeah.
And so like that's that for me. But like with Waitress, that was the first time I thought I saw like the first the first role that I ever thought I could ever be in. Like first like show that I felt like was actually tangible. And I think that's a part of it for me too, is that the role, in order for me to have a favorite role or a dream, it has to feel tangible and it has to feel doable, because otherwise I don't want it.
Yeah.
Like acting was a very easy choice for me because it felt tangible, and it felt because watching Ashley Tisdale be 2 different roles materialized the idea that I could do that myself. And all I had to do was do a bunch of auditions, and I did. And so, like even with roles, I don't care what it is. Like as long as I'm able to grab it. And like that's one thing that a lot of people I don't think understand as well, is that you have a character type, and even if you are able to play an array of characters, you still have a character type based on your age, based on your personality, because you can only like you're yourself, like no matter what. You're always going to bring a part of yourself to the role, and that's going to be part of your brand. And I mean, it plays into VTubing, it plays into a lot of stuff. And so like at least with Waitress, I saw several roles that were within my character type, were within the style of music that I sing, and sing well, and like the story and that it tells is also something that interests me. The style of comedy suits mine also in several different roles. So it embodied a lot of different things that I was like, oh my gosh, I could do any of this and I'd be okay with it.
That's still really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm very like, what's the word? To me, anything is possible. Like if I think that I can do it, I'm going to do it. Like you can't tell me
it's possible. If a plain yellow pumpkin can become a golden carrot. Yeah, sorry.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah, I love that song. Have you ever heard? I'll have to send it to you. I'm gonna forget, but I'll have to send it to you the time I remember. At 54 Below, there is a performance of this actress, Bonnie Milligan. She did like a Disney princess medley, and Laura Osnes, she played Cinderella in the revival. And so she was like, I know something a little about being a princess, and so like she joined in on the medley, and then she started singing that song. And then Bonnie Milligan was like, that's not Disney. Hello, that is Rodgers and Hammerstein. Please get off the stage. It was so funny. It's a really good.
That's so good.
It's a really good cabaret.
Speaking of the revival, did you see there was a revival of Rodgers and Hammerstein within the past 10 years? And they changed a lot in the show.
For Cinderella?
Yeah, for Cinderella. that they completely. So, I guess you haven't. So, I will tell you a short story of the single most dissociative theater experience I've ever encountered. Because...
Are you talking about the... Wait, sorry. Are you talking about the Laura Osnes production when they revived it on Broadway, or just in general?
I don't know. I just know it was billed as Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. It still had 2/3 of the songs, but that there was updates of, like, there was now this evil vizier, or, you know, not vizier, but, you know, royal advisor that was, you know, pulling the strings and, you know, working with the evil stepmother that wasn't in the original. They changed the order of songs. They added a lot more depth. To be fair, these updates, I think, actually made the show a lot better for a modern audience. They gave more character to the supporting cast, and it still all made perfect sense, the reorderings of things and whatnot. But this show was updated very significantly from the original Rodgers and Hammerstein's production, despite the fact that it still had most of the same songs and the same basic plot structure. I did not know this going in. I just knew, all right, it's Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. And, like, even from the very first song, that they have new lines and things being done. And it was the weirdest experience I've ever had sitting in a theater, because the whole time, you know, having been in a production of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, I knew forwards and backwards what line to expect next, what song to expect next. So every time there would be something new and different, it was this weird, you know, sensation of, like, this is wrong, but at the same time, this isn't bad. And I just left that theater being like, they shouldn't have called that Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, because it wasn't. But it was a very good show. But it was also the most disorienting thing I've ever sat through.
Sorry, I'm trying to, like... I feel like, what's it called? They do that with, like, a lot of revivals, I guess?
Yeah, and I've heard of ones, you know, like they add a song or something, or
Yeah.
a small tweak, but this was,
Like,
they changed fundamental things and restructured the plot in a very sweeping way that I had never seen before.
Yeah, like, because, what's it called? Those are, like, musicals that I have a hard time digesting, I guess. Because, like, for me, I'll go into a musical and then I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be like this, the original, blah, 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 and expecting, like, a specific product.
Yeah,
But
that is
then, like-
exactly what it was for me.
But then, like, I didn't get that, and then I
Mhm.
kind of leave, like, oh, I still saw a good show, but then, like, I'm feeling really dissatisfied.
Yeah, no,
It's like,
that's exactly what it was. It was just so, it was so weird. Yeah, so that was a fun one for me. One thing that I always like hearing from actors is things go wrong stories. So it can either be in the rehearsal process or live in the middle of a show. Tell me, you know, one or a couple of your favorite stories where something's gone wrong, and that just, it can have, you know, a happy ending or an awkward ending, whatever you like. But I love hearing stories of live productions being live productions.
Do we want to talk injuries? I've got many.
Oh dear. Well, not necessarily injuries, but hey, if it's an amusing one, sure. But yeah, like I said, any stories that are in that vein.
Well, okay, I think they're funny, but that's because I was the one who got hurt. Like,
Okay, well, hey, it's okay if you think your own injuries are funny.
I think anything I do is funny. So, like, but like mishaps. Like one time I did the straight play, Alice in Wonderland, and Mad Hatter forgot to go on, and so we had to make up an entire
Misentrances
scene.
are.
We had to improvise an entire scene, and then finally figure out where to start the next line.
That's a skill
so
moment right there.
funny.
It's like, it's a tough one. I had something like that. It wasn't in a live show. It was in a rehearsal, and it was a it was the first day offline. So in theater, for those who might not be familiar with it, you have what is off book. So it is, you are no longer holding the scripts on stage while you're doing it, but you can say line if you forget, and
Off
the
Are you the walkthrough?
so at least the way it was done at my high school is we called it off book, where you didn't have the book in hand, but if you forgot a line, you could call line, and the
yell
director would
line.
feed you the line. But then there was offline, where if you forgot, you had to roll, and that was usually what you had for the last couple weeks of rehearsal. And it was our first offline rehearsal. And
okay. We just called that dress rehearsal or hell week.
Oh yeah, that's the other fun thing, just seeing the different terms, because these terms vary a little bit, but they all mean the same thing. So it was that first one where, you know, training wheels off entirely, and I was in a scene with someone, and someone missed their entrance, and so the other guy and I just start rolling. Now the problem is the scene literally cannot progress because it's in the middle of, you know, a set of scenes without a curtain close. So we need this character to come on. It's called Curtains, and it is one of my personal favorites. It was the final Candor and Ebb show, actually, because it was it was written just before Fred Ebb passed away. They actually put in a new song in his memory in the late stages of production for him. And one of the people missed their entrance, and this was a rehearsal, but the other character and I, we go on for 30 seconds a minute of just bantering back and forth, because the person who was supposed to come on was supposed to interrupt an argument that we were having. So we have the beat where, all right, we expect him to interject, and when he doesn't, we just continue arguing, and we go circles for about a minute, and he's not coming on. And after a while, we just turn to the director and say, all right, we've got nothing at this point. And the director looks at us and is like, we're offline. You should know this. And, you know, as I can understand with a director, a high school director, that she has a lot of things to juggle with a lot of students. So she was probably only half paying attention while doing the million other things that she's responsible for. And we were like, no, so-and-so missed his entrance a minute and a half ago. And she was like, oh, I thought you were still, wow, how long were you doing that? And then we got him, but that was a bit of a pride point there. The other big live one, and this was during a show.
Wait, I thought that was a rehearsal?
Yeah, this was a rehearsal, no, but this other one is during a show. It was Charlotte's Web. And in the show, you have the different words in the web that Charlotte creates, that there's, you know, some pig, terrific. And the way that we did it was we had pre-constructed webs made out of wire and that were, you know, coated in black fuzz and whatnot. And the way it would work is each of the webs was underneath the set piece, marked with a different color tape. And lights would go down, Charlotte would grab the right web, put it up, you know, hook it as necessary, lights would come up, the web is there.
Right web?
It was the third night, so we'd had multiple times where it's gone right flawlessly. The first web is supposed to say some pig, lights come up, the first web says terrific. And do you have any idea how many lines in that show make specific reference to what the web is saying? That there's things that so now this is a all hands on deck. Everyone in the cast has to be hyper aware of their lines, and by God, we pulled it off. People were, you know, glued to the monitor backstage listening to the lines, because we know, all right, you know, this is where I forget, one of the characters is supposed to spell out terrific, but it's some pig this time, and just, you know, all getting super excited when someone nails the line and has the correct alteration. And that was one of the most thrilling performances, because from the audience's perspective, it was just a performance. For us, it was real time, you know, everything is different and everyone has to be hyper aware, and just every line was a victory. So that was super cool.
That's incredible. That's actually really cool. That's a huge, what's the word that I want?
Feat, I guess. Because, like,
it really does require the skill of the other actors to play off of
we
each
were all
other.
just like, we were reminding each other, like, you know, there's this line in this scene that is now terrific or whatever. So we had each other's backs, but it was that type of suspense, because it wasn't just, all right, one person for one scene has to adjust slightly. It's in the first act of the show, these, because there was 3 webs and 3 words that come up at those various popcorn points, and knowing that, okay, seismic shift has to happen now, and just being aware of that, and it added to the tension. It was a heck of a show. But yeah, I will always remember that one, just because that moment of seeing the lights go up, that doesn't say some pig.
That's so fair. That's actually, like, that's a really good one. That's a really good story. Do I have any other mishaps? I feel like most of my mishaps are injuries.
Well, I guess let's get a couple of like, particularly amusing injuries of just injuries happen in theater, but I guess what led to the injuries? That which ones would you say are just the most absurd or memorable?
My most memorable ones was during a dress rehearsal. Someone had to fireman carry me across the stage, and they tripped on their laces and landed on my knees. So now my knees are kind of like messed up. And because I had to also perform that night as well, had a different for a comedy show, and so I stayed on my knees for the rest of the show.
Holy cow.
Like, because I was really hurting, but I was like, I have a show tonight. I don't have an understudy, and it's a comedy show because we were doing improv. We were like a improv team, and like no one can just cover me.
Yeah.
So
hey, restrictions breed creativity. Now you're on your knees.
Yeah. So like I sat in between games that I was part of and all that kind of stuff, and then I had to walk home.
Oh my gosh.
But there's that one time. So my final year of acting school, I wrote an original solo show, and I was doing my dress rehearsal, and I'm supposed to pick up a chair, scream and like yell at somebody, and then drop the chair and like slam the chair on the ground.
Did you hit yourself in the process?
I slammed the chair on my big toe. And it was so painful, but I had to keep going because it was an open dress rehearsal, so we had an audience. And so I kept going because my show that I wrote was an hour long, and I was only 10 minutes in.
Oh dear.
So I just kind of kept going. And then I had to walk home. And people at the end of the show were like, "Is your foot okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And,
now the question is, when you're full of adrenaline, as you are tending to be as an actor, you might actually think that you are legitimately fine. When people asked after the show, did you actually think that you were better than you were, or were you still acting at that point, making sure people weren't worried about you?
I was making sure people were not worried because I was in a lot of pain.
Oh, Suga. That's when you say, "Can you call an ambulance? I think my toe might be broken."
Well, my toe wasn't broken. I just had a blood blister thing under my toe.
Okay. So at least it's not that bad. But still, I can still imagine that it'd be intensely painful. It was really painful
because it lifted the nail off my foot.
Oh.
And so I had that for about a week, and I couldn't fit my foot into my boots, and it was winter time. So I was wearing a flip-flop outside with a boot on my other foot because I couldn't fit my toe. And then I finally went to patient first like a week later because I was like so over it, and also because it was the only day that one of my sorority sisters could take me, because that day we had a philanthropy event, and I didn't want to go to the philanthropy event, so I was like, my doctor's appointment is
There you go.
And so and so they got it fixed, and like by the time, and also because I had to do it soon because what's it called? I had a week of dress rehearsal, and that following day was my show. So I only had one day to go to the doctor. and get that fixed and at least get rid of the pain, because I can pop a couple ibuprofen and then go on and be fine. I'll live with myself. Because like if it's just bruised, I'll live. I can still walk. But if I can't put my foot into a shoe, that's going to be a problem. Like that was my thought process. It wasn't the fact that I was in pain. I was like, I can deal with pain. I have a pretty high pain tolerance. But it was the fact that I wasn't able to wear my costume. Like that was the part that was the thing that took me to the doctor. I was like,
priorities. Channeling some real Hermione, you know, you could get us killed or worse, expelled type energy right there.
Yeah, but I have my priorities. And so like I ended up getting it fixed in the morning. I wrapped it in a Band-Aid. And then I went to dress rehearsal that night, double checked to make sure my costume fit. My toe was still kind of swollen, but I took some ibuprofen and like to help with the swelling. And they told me to just put some ice on it for a little bit and the swelling should go down. Next day, my toe wasn't really swollen anymore. I still had it wrapped and I was able to wear my costume and I did my show. So it was great.
All's well that ends well.
Yeah, and that's not the first time I've done an injury to my foot. Like one time I had to do, I did a class where you were focused on storytelling with the body, and acting with expressions and, well, not expressions because you had to wear a mask, but so mask work, so Commedia dell'arte stuff, and so you were telling a story using your body, and we were telling the story of Arachne. I had to do a tumble. I did a tumble thing, and because I was the most flexible to be a spider and move my body that way. And I tumbled, and I crushed the last 3 toes on my foot, and I felt it just crack while I was performing. And this was like at the show, like we did dress rehearsal, everything, and I hadn't broken it at all since then, but I think I was going too hard because it was a show. And so I was like, my brain was just going from one thing to the next.
Yep.
And I wasn't conscious of like myself.
Yeah.
Because at that point, when you're doing the show, you kind of want to perform off impulse and like your subconscious memory.
Absolutely. And, yeah. Just you get into flow state.
Yeah. And so I was like doing it, and then I felt the crack, and I was like, I see. And so I just kept going. I just kept going. Like, what was I supposed to do? Be like, hold it, please, stage manager, hold.
Nope.
I broke my toe. Like, I'm not going to do that. And so I kept doing the show, and I actually had a function that night where I had to like dress really nice and wear heels. And and so I'm like shoving my foot into a heel, but I was like, oh, it's kind of hurting still. So I splinted it with a Band-Aid. And I wore heels that night. It was great. It was a party, but the heels probably wasn't a good choice because my toe was hurting pretty bad for like a couple days.
Man, I'm just thinking here, just of all things that you had to do the night after this, wear heels.
No. It wasn't the night after. It was the night of.
Yeah.
So like the show was in the afternoon. It was a matinee, and then my function was 3 hours after the show.
Yeah, just that heels cannot have made this better.
But I looked cute in it, so I was like, because when I was in acting school, I was very fashion over comfort, or show over function. Like everything was first besides my well-being. So, and I was like, I splinted it with 2 Band-Aids. Like they weren't moving, so I thought they were fine. And turns out they were broken. I couldn't. It like hurt. I could walk obviously because they're my toes, but like. It hurt to walk, and I had to go back to my movement class and continue to crawl and walk on my toes. But then my teacher would be like, why are you holding one of your feet in the air and only walking on 3 limbs? And I'd be like, well, it's because my foot's broken.
You see.
I broke it at the show, the one that you directed, but it's okay. And so I was like, I can't fix it. So I'm making do. And so she'd be like, just sit down. And I was like, no, I'm doing the assignment. The assignment is to walk on all 4s. I just have to use 3. It's fine.
I'm still doing 75% of the work.
Yeah. honestly, I was doing way more work having to lift my leg in the air.
Fair, very fair.
Like, the amount of thigh strength that I had to summon that I did not have, it was like so much. But yeah, a lot of injuries like that. Like, just like silly things. And then it all just ends with me going, well, yeah, I just kind of wrapped it with like a stick and some like saran wrap and just kind of called it a day. It's like that kind of thing. But other than my toes, I've actually never broken a bone or anything before.
Okay, well, at least that's good, and definitely a good story that just... Jeez, so... When you finally went to the doctor, did they chew you out? Were they like,
no, because I didn't tell.
Okay, fair, and probably honestly good choice.
Well, because I'm one of those people who just like doesn't tell the doctor like how long I've had it. I just want them to fix it.
Yeah, just like, yeah.
Like my ear infection. I told you about this. I've had an ear infection for the past week, so I've been using like ear drops, and I've been complaining about it a ton because I feel like I can't hear. Because I was supposed to do some recordings earlier this week, and then I couldn't do them because I couldn't hear myself sing.
Oh dear, I hope it's getting better, because I remember seeing about this. We hadn't discussed it, but I remember seeing a tweet about it.
Yeah. It's going away. Like, I can start
good.
hearing better, and I can like sing with the music now. Because before I was like two beats behind.
Oh geez.
But like excuse me. I had it for like a week before I went to the doctor, and so like a week. Because I was like, oh, it'll go away. It's fine. I got stuff to do. I can't just go to the doctor. But then like it started to hurt, and there started to be really swollen, and I was like, oh, the swelling is gonna go down. I'll just take an ibuprofen, the swelling go down. It did not. And I had to go to the doctor.
Well, at least you did in the end.
Had it? Yeah, they were like, how long did you have it? And I was like, 2 days. It'd been a week. I'm very like, don't do as I say, or like do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, because I have a lot of that where I'm like, well, I did this thing, and I'm not telling you that it was the right choice, but I'm telling you at least be conscious and own up to the fact that you're like that, like, because I'm okay with like being, this obnoxious, but I'm at least aware that I'm this way.
Hey, and knowing yourself is really important.
Yes, like one time, I have like gold glittery scissors, and I was telling people how to hold scissors, and I was like, because you always hold it by the blade when they're closed, and you don't hold them by the handle when you walk around. And I was like, well, when you run with scissors, hold them by the blade and hold them out in front of you so that way you don't hurt yourself. And people were like,
Proceeds to hurt herself.
Don't run with scissors. And I was like, no. I can't say don't run with scissors when I run with scissors. That'd be really hypocritical of me. And they're like, why are you running with scissors? I was like, I got places to go, and I gotta hold the scissors. So I've definitely run with scissors, so I can't be like, don't run with scissors. That's horrible. And then like I'm running, and I'm out here running with scissors. That's horrible. I can't be that person.
Hey, it's difficult to live life without risk, so just know the risks that you're taking and take precautions against those risks.
Exactly. Just be safe. That's really all it is. Just be safe. But yeah, that's me.
Of all the skills you have as an actor, as a performer, as a singer, is there any particular thing that you point to and say, this is my specialty? If you have to choose,
voice.
So voice. Is there any particular thing about your voice of like, I'm able to sustain my notes with just exceptional clarity, or I'm able to pick up certain beats and melodies really fast?
It's mostly just vocal manipulation. When I was in acting school, my focus, my interest was the voice. So learning to move specific muscles like your larynx, or lift your soft palate, drop like utilize the placement of sound and how to visualize it to aid in the type of sound you're producing. Were all huge fascinations of mine, and something that I really studied hard for.
accents and dialects are also a huge part of that, because like you so like some sounds are in the front, some sounds are in the back, especially if you're using a phonetic alphabet. That's also really helpful. Like I actually have friends that I type like using the phonetic alphabet. Like we type in full sentences using IPA.
Hey, it's something like, that you learn.
Yeah, and for me it's a lot of fun, and like for me it's something I take a lot of pride in. I like to think that I have like a really wide range vocally, and like I like to think that I have like a large enough repertoire of voices in my pocket. Like I can do a lot of random impressions. Like I have a Minnie Mouse impression. I have my Ash Ketchum, my I can do Barbie. I always say I can do Emily Elizabeth from Clifford, but I don't know how accurate it is. And I used to be able to do Harley Quinn, but like there's also a ton of like just accents and dialects from like different regions. And a large part of that I think also is knowing what puzzle pieces make up your idiolect, which is like your own unique voice. So like just vocal manipulation is probably, I would say, my biggest strength and my skill.
For me, it's two things that are similar and related. For me, it's not vocal manipulation, but vocal replication, and that goes hand in hand with memory. That I'm really good at memorizing things and then replicating them. So yeah. I'm not savant level where I can read something once and have it memorized, but if you give me a day with a song or a day with a script, I can get it. Or just give me a good conversation listening to an accent, I can replicate it because I have that basis to work off of, and I'm able to retain the memory of what I heard and then still be able to replicate that a good duration of time later. My biggest, sort of secret quirk in acting is that I can't read choral music. So I was in band, so I know how to read music, but I was never in chorus. So I was never taught how to read choral music, and obviously notation is the same. That I can see, all right, where are we working with in terms of the actual melody? When are we going up and down, and at what types of intervals? But if you were to sing out a note, I'm not able to say, oh, that's a B flat or whatever. But if you give me a note, I can sing it back to you. So when it came time to learn things, it would be, get me the soundtrack and I will just listen to it. And I will listen to the entire thing front to back for, a couple days before an audition. I'll know everything I need to know for the audition. I will continue listening to it throughout the rehearsal process and make sure to hone in on my own parts. But the choral teacher at my high school didn't realize for the longest time that I couldn't actually read the music, at least not super specifically, because I was just able to, since I had already listened to the soundtrack and I knew what I needed to produce with my voice, I could do it. It was never a problem. But that was my sort of secret deficiency and superpower at the same time. And there were also, with memory, just certain things when it would be the first couple rehearsals off book that I remember I saw somebody I was in the middle of a scene with stumbling over their lines, and I mumbled their line to them because I saw they were about to call line. It was just like, all right, kind of wanted to help them maybe look a little bit better if they don't have to call line an extra number of times. And I did that, and they were like, why do you know my lines? It's just like, well, I know most of the lines. In fact, I think I know everyone's lines in the scene.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought that everyone learned each other's lines by the end of the show. I thought that was super random.
That's where I wound up one way or another, whether I wanted to or not. Yeah.
Yeah, like you always
I think like by the end of the show, you're like quoting each other's lines.
Oh yeah, yeah. I feel like most people end up at that place by the end of a run. I just wound up there a little bit early.
Yeah. But that's like a good skill to have. I mean, they always taught us that like one of the best ways to learn with your voice is to just be able to mimic back at things. Like for me, like a huge part of it was like watching interviews and copying accents and dialects, or watching a lot of shows and mimicking the voice and the sound. And then when I got to acting school, recognizing when I was making those sounds or doing those voices, recognizing like what muscles were moving, and then practicing learning to individually move them to produce different sounds or replicate the sound I just made and things like that. So
yeah, and it provides that basis because when you know, all right, you know, British accent versus Cockney accent, and then you have French accent or whatever, that if you have the basis, even if it's of some very iconic character or something that you've seen, once you have that, you're able to tweak it a little bit to make it your own or to fit whichever character or maybe subdialect that you're working with. Those building blocks are so useful. And I know a lot of people, and especially in voice acting, that they say one of the first things you should do is just learn impressions of as many, you know, character archetypes as you can and as many different accents as you can, because once you have those, you can start actually crafting and customizing different things to whatever your performance is.
Yes, exactly. And like but I think for me at least, I think that's like applicable to any skill. Like that's the thing with skills in general. Like if you copy the person that you're learning from, you'll eventually learn how to do it for yourself and how to apply it to yourself.
That's very true.
Like, obviously, like I'm not gonna sound like, if I do like a mimic of voice or something, I'm not gonna sound exactly like them because I do have my idiolect, and like I have. Yeah. And it's going to be always very unique to me.
Yeah, vocal cords still have their inherent differences that even if you're able to do
like
a darn near perfect replication, that there will still be a fragment of your natural voice in there.
And it's the same, and I think that, like what's it called? Any performer can really learn just from mimicry. Like my big things are always like mimicry, and learning to make it your own, not just like, oh, I'm copying you, like blatantly copying, because that's not good, but like that, and then learning how to make that your own, and then acting on your impulses are also very important. That's like a really big deal, because I think it helps you with commentating, stay like with the entertainment aspect, like storytelling, jokes, even if you're not the funny type, it helps keep the ball rolling and keep people engaged. Like it, and just acting on your impulses, like if your computer goes down, or if like someone comes into your chat and is like stinky, like that kind of stuff. So like I think just for me, it's like those two big things. And then stay open to anything. Like I feel like a lot of people have, especially just as performers in general, you guys, but people have this idea that it's supposed to be kind of linear. Like when I was in acting school, I had to do a project about how I had to have like a 5-year project plan or something. And I walked into the room to do my project, and they were like, do you have a PowerPoint? And I was like, no. And they were like, oh? And I was like, yeah, because I didn't do the project. And they were like, why? And I was like, because I think it's stupid. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do in 5 years. Like, what if I end up signing an agent and then I don't like them 2 years down the line? My entire 5-year plan is going to go flat. And because of the way performers are, even if you need a structure, try to think within the week or within the day rather than a couple years in advance, because if all of your plans like go to crap, then like
what happens if there's a pandemic?
Yeah, like it's not gonna work out if you plan that far. And you're gonna, and with and a lot of entertainers run into the fact that like because you feel like you need to be successful or blow up fast, you will get down on yourself much faster. And usually that, in my personal experience, tends to weed out the people who have the skin to get through entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that I'm like, and I don't mean that in a rude way, because I know a lot of people, like, especially with content creation, a lot of people say like, what's it called? It doesn't matter, like, you're like if you have a thick skin or not, if you can create content, you can create content. And like, and I agree, like, if you can create content, you can create content. But at the same time, like, from being in acting school, there is like a huge difference between the ones that can like push past with like an armor in hand versus like the ones holding like a stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that there's a difference of, you know, casual content creation versus full-time content creation, and casual content creation is legitimate content creation.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with saying, all right, I don't have what it takes, or I don't want to, you know, live the lifestyle that is required in full-time content creation. That is literally where I am. That is why the show is once a week, that I have a lot of other things that I enjoy doing, a lot of other things I'm good at doing, but I still want to do this. And just, I knew I didn't want to be a VTuber. I knew I didn't have something that I could bring to the table that would be original. I knew I didn't have the time to create some type of content that would stand out, or a character that would stand out. But I like to think that I'm pretty good at talking and managing a conversation. And the other thing I really love is just production, the back end of everything, that being able to both have my hands as a producer and a performer is where I love to be. And that's where the whole idea of VTuber Talk came from, because I knew I didn't want to be a VTuber in and of itself, but I wanted to do something that was content creation. And I landed on this concept pretty quickly after I realized that, of just, you know, I knew that there were a couple other talk shows, interview shows out there, but I was like, there isn't a glut of them, so I can stand out inherently easier just because it's a smaller market. But also because I knew that I would be able to bring in a couple different things, that the way I run my show is different from the other ones out there. And that's not to say anything bad about the other shows, but just that's where I knew that I could offer something original and unique.
Well, that's the thing in general, is like, I see in VTuber communities, people always just refer to themselves as VTubers, and like, that's fine. But I always think that like a lot of advice can be applicable to entertainers as a whole.
Oh yeah.
Like branding is so important. Like, if you are creating content and your whole thing is like, I want to create a safe space for people, I want to create comfy vibes, and I want to jam. And I'm like, that's cool, but what else? Like, because everybody's trying to do that. Like, there's so many streamers out there that want to create a safe space for their community. They want to make it comfortable and a fun experience. And they want to like make it a memorable place where people can always go to at the end of the day. That's what like a lot of content creators and streamers do. So it's like, you have to know your brand, and you have to know what you are able to bring to the table that is original. And I have had conversations with a lot of people where like, I'll be like, what do you want to do with your content? And they'll be like, this. And I'm like, okay, well, let's expand on that, right? So like, what do you like to do? Like, how can we bring more of you into your stream that isn't just comfy vibes? Like, yeah, me too. I also like to like be in my sweatpants and like a big t-shirt and to put my hair in a bun. Like, that's like the vibe. But like, at the same time, like, you need to have or know what interests or what like individual things that you can bring to the table that sets you apart from the rest, so that way you can from the get-go be like, hi, this is me, this is what I do, and this is why we're gonna have a good time. I also do this thing that like I host, it's my thing, and like maybe somebody else does it, but they don't do it like me.
Exactly. And the good part is that most people even if they don't realize it, start along that path of, even if they only have, all right, I do comfy vibes and we're going to have a good time, that's still a direction. It's just, okay,
Yeah.
let's hone
You
in
just
on
have to
that a bit
narrow
more.
it.
And
Yeah.
usually they have
Mhm.
unconsciously already started honing in on it, but they haven't put a
Yeah.
name or a word to it. But once you can,
Once you
have
put
that
it
sort
in
of
a
realization
like a
moment,
name,
it's like,
mhm, it's so good.
oh yeah, it's pivotal for you, just whether it's, as an actor or any type of professional, really. And being
Mhm.
able to figure that out, it takes a bit of thought, but once you figure what that bit is, it's a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. Like once you're able to narrow it down and put a word to it, then you're solid. You're golden. Like I always like think that like you should always do um at least like with content, like for me, I know what helps is like for me, like I said, is doing an activity that like is very specific to you, and like doing an activity that like what's it called, that you can excel in, and then give it a name. Like I do Try It Tuesdays, and Try It Tuesdays is like really fun because like I get to play a new game, which keeps me really invested. But I know that I have like really great reactions, and I have a lot of commentary, and I always have a lot to say. So like that's something unique that I can bring to the table to have something like that thrive. And I always think that's like something that's a really good like starting point, is to like have something like that you can do every week. That's consistent, and it also allows people to get to know you a little better in terms of your brand and everything. Like I always think that's really cool. So like whenever I see content creators like honing in on activities or like their brand and like their interests and like really marketing those things, I get really excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, because I love seeing people discover themselves and find themselves. I always think that's such a huge part of, I mean, like not just like growing like up, I guess, but as like growing as a creator and entertainer. Because when I was in acting school, we had to do like exercises where we had to go up to strangers with a piece of paper and be like, can you circle 5 words that you know, like that you think are associated with me upon first glance and from this conversation we're having right now, and like that's how you found your brand. So, and like content creation is like different because obviously you can't like do that, I guess. And especially as a VTuber, I can't go up to random people and be like, hi, I'm Suga, can you just do this? Can you sign this paper and then tell me who I am? Like I can't really do that. But like content creation is just so cool because like it's an accessible creative outlet for a lot of people, and you can do it on any type of social media platform, whether it's in like a funny tweet, a meme that you can make on like, I don't know, a phone app or like Microsoft Word or Paint or something, or to like streaming, creating videos, TikToks. Like there's so many ways to create content. And like I think, and like when it comes down to it, like when people are able to specify, have more specificity in who they are and their brand, like that's when things start to pop off. And I always love seeing that for people because I know how important it is. Like when I discovered it for myself, I was like, oh my gosh.
So what is it for you? That we had the introduction at the top of the show, but when you boil things down, and you said that you have had that realization for the specificity, what is it for you?
So like, what's it called? So if we're gonna like put it to type, so if we're gonna, I guess it's not using the I'm a Cinderella sheep thing. My strengths is chaotic commentary and storytelling. So like that's why I was saying doing Try It Tuesdays is really really great for me, and also for people who want to get to know me, because I have really intense reactions to everything. I can talk about anything from thin air, and people are always curious about what I'm about to say next. And because I can keep talking and I can keep going and I can really just talk about anything, people tend to be curious about what I have to say, and because of the way that I set my streams up and the way I have games set up, you don't know what type of extreme my reaction is gonna be, and that.
But you know it's gonna be extreme.
Yeah, so it could be really sad. It could be like really, like that, you know, like really, like, because I don't need to be this dramatic when I'm not that impressed, but I am.
Yeah,
you know,
you always dial it up to 11, and just hearing you say that now, thinking back on the streams of yours that I've seen, it makes perfect sense. It fits absolutely, and that's really cool that you've been able to hone into it that way, and that just you say it, and even if you don't say it in those words with regularity out loud, it fits 100% and it just clicks.
Yeah, like because like I said, like storytelling and my reactions are a big thing, and I try to keep everything as organic as possible, and I try to keep everything like when I play a new game, I don't open it. I literally don't open it until the stream has started. I don't look at it. I don't do anything. I just install it because it keeps everything at an element of surprise. So even like for people, like when I play Ace Attorney, even though I'm familiar with the game, you don't know what could come out of my mouth next.
Yeah.
And you don't know if I'm gonna cry, you don't know if I'm gonna get angry, you don't know if I'm gonna scream, like you don't know what's gonna happen. And I really utilize that element of surprise and the way I tell stories to connect with my audience and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. That's my thing. That's what I know I'm good at, and being able to sing and voice act and stuff really aid that process.
Fantastic. And holy cow, we've been going at this for almost 3 hours.
Have we really?
Yeah. Like we said, that you said that you could talk forever, and I said I thought this was going to be the easiest shows I've ever done, and I think we were both right.
I told you I talk a lot.
Hey, but it's been good talk, and I want to let you go before too long, but to wind a couple things down, a couple questions I ask all my guests. What is your favorite meal? So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you would eat every single day, but what is that one thing that, you know, if you can just have, it could be homemade, it could be from a particular restaurant, what do you want to eat?
Well, I'm a sheep, so grass.
I don't know what else I expected.
I don't know what you expected either.
Hey, like I said, it's a question I ask everyone, so.
I'm just saying.
It's a fair answer. It's a fair answer. Do you drink tea, coffee, both or neither? And if so, how do you take them? And I'm going to twist this a bit.
Okay.
Do you use any vocal remedies just as a singer, as a performer?
I don't drink caffeine. I've been trying to get more into caffeine so I can like wake up some more, but like I really don't drink caffeine. I stopped drinking caffeine in 2019. So I don't really drink tea unless I have unless my allergy cough is around, because then it because caffeine dehydrates your vocal folds and I don't want that, so I drink a lot of water. As far as remedies go, I hate throat coat. I think it's disgusting. So I just stick to warm water. Hot water can damage your vocal folds, and cold water doesn't really do much. I think cold water is refreshing, but if I'm like warming up or something, I'm preparing to do a stream or preparing to do a long stream or anything like that, or sing, I just drink warm water. Sometimes I'll heat it up like a little bit. I know for me, I like to drink a ginger ale. sometimes just because the stickiness helps me a little bit, and then I wash it down with water. But my go-to is is lemon water.
Yeah, definitely a classic for a reason.
Yeah, I don't like drinking things that dehydrate my vocal folds. It's because I sing all the time. I have to do so much work that involves my voice, and I just there's no reason. I also just don't like the way coffee tastes. I tried drinking coffee for the first time a couple days ago, and I did like a quarter of the little packet thing, and
I can't stand coffee. I love the smell, hate the taste.
Really?
Yeah, just I think the smell of a coffee shop is so nice. I really like it, but I don't like bitter things, and like I could probably put in obscene amounts of milk and sugar, but at that point it's not really coffee. I like just normal black tea with 1 sugar. For vocal remedies, there's 2 that I found. There's one called Vocalese, which is throat spray. It just tastes like honey. The other is syrup that you put into water. It's called Nimjam.
I was gonna say, I know what these are.
Yep. And I know that not everyone likes them, or that they don't work for everyone. Those are just the 2 that I've found that seem to work for me.
Yeah, I've tried almost everything under the sun that I can get my hands on, and lemon water is really the only thing that really gives.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Oh, and a humidifier. I use a face humidifier. Like the ones that you press up to your face.
Yeah.
You inhale. Yeah. I do that. I find those 2 very simple, and
but that's one of those hidden journeys for actors of just finding the remedies or just treatments and things for basic stuff like that works for you, because there are sort of industry standards of, the most common brands of things, but not everything works for everyone. Yeah, that it varies, and some people find the thing that works for them right away, and some people have to go years experimenting.
Me, I literally had to go through all of acting school, and then like a few years after that, to figure that out. Like, but also one big thing that I really like is neti pot. Like,
yeah,
it's
just
that
to clear the sinuses.
Yeah. Love it. Love. I mean, it's definitely a trip having water shoot up your nose and come out the other side, but it's fine.
Yeah, for some reason, whenever I've used it, just because I tried it for allergies a while back,
that's how I started
seasonal
using
pollen stuff. But for whatever reason, I would get so congested that doing that would just shove the allergens deeper into my sinuses. The water would not come out the other nostril, and then I'd be sneezing worse.
Oh gosh, yeah, don't use that.
So I use that for a couple times, and just like, nope, this isn't gonna work. And then I just found that the really generic brand over-the-counter Zyrtec antihistamine works just fine for me. So that's what I did.
Yeah, I do I do good old classic water, and a neti pot, and then a humidifier and vocal rest. That's really
that's the other thing. Just knowing sometimes you just have to not talk for a while.
Well, what's it called? I'm actually very quiet. Like, people wouldn't guess that, but like I'm actually really quiet. So like I probably get more than enough vocal rested because I'm naturally quiet. So
saving it all for stream.
That's usually what it is. I'm very, because like I when I get around to be around people, I talk a lot. I can't stop talking. I have a lot of energy, and then you get me, and then like it's like once like the party has dispersed, I'm like, and then I don't speak for like hours.
Yep. I identify that just, I live alone in an apartment, and if I'm talking with someone on a call or doing the show, that like I will talk all day, but just, hey, if I don't have a reason to talk, I'm not going to talk. So there you go.
Yeah, what do I have to talk for if I don't have to talk? You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta save this beautiful throat for singing.
Absolutely. Do you have any goals for the rest of the year? That we're now halfway through July, but is there anything that you want to, hopefully get to or accomplish before the year is out?
Oh, I actually had like what is it? A list of goals that I made at the beginning of the year that I wanted for 2021. For me, I've done some of them already, but the ones that I haven't gotten to do yet are, this one I can't gauge until actually we hit New Year's, but I would love to have a 25 viewer average on Twitch. And then I would love to hit 500 subscribers on YouTube. And then I would like to release some original songs. That's actually a work in progress. But,
ooh, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know. Most of my goals aren't most of my goals are things that are very tangible. So I'm they're not. It's not I would like to hit Twitch partner by December. It's not like that. It's just I would like to have 25 viewers.
Yeah,
like
that yours are either objective or project based.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I've learned that if I'm going to make goals, they have to be extremely tangible and they have to be very realistic. Because if I try to make a goal that I don't feel is realistic for me, it's gonna kind of jeopardize my ability to perform well.
Yeah,
and it's
then
only
either you're pushing yourself beyond what is feasible, or you might
for no reason.
Yeah, or you might just get into the mindset of, well, I know it's not realistic, so I'm not going to push at all. And either way, you're not going to end up with a healthy result.
Or productive, exactly. Yeah. So I try to, it's why I schedule days off for myself, because it's just I try to keep things very manageable and keep things consistent as much as possible, because I'm very much things happen on a day-to-day basis. And I have a stream schedule, but if I don't feel like doing the stream schedule, I'm gonna change it. It's a very day-by-day basis.
Yeah, and I think that's healthy, being able to say, all right, I'm going to set a schedule and try and have that structure and put in the forethought and effort to do this, but also have the understanding that if something comes up, I don't need to be unrelentingly rigid.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I do content full time, so I do have to have some sort of discipline and or we were talking about this before this started, how I have a schedule of things to go out every day, so that way I constantly am putting out content, and that, and I do that in a way that is manageable for me, and I prepped in advance, so that way I don't have to think about it too hard when the day does come up. But what's it called? I do just in general take it by a day-to-day basis. I don't have the energy or the time to think about it any harder than that.
Hey, and I think you're doing a pretty good job of that so far.
Thanks.
And the last big question I have is, what does being a VTuber mean to you?
Honestly, if I'm gonna be very, very honest, being a VTuber is it's just another medium for entertainment for me.
That's entirely valid.
It's not I know, because I'm a sheep, so it's there's a lot of going into being a sheep on the internet, so it's there's a lot of different aspects and things that I gotta think about, and it's just unless I decided to be a sheep on a webcam, that's another way to entertain people. But for me, being a VTuber is just another way to facilitate what I already have always wanted to do. The way we've been talking, I've been performing for a while. I've been doing acting and things for a while. I went to school for it, and I
constantly have projects and ideas, and I'm doing creative work and performative work all the time. Being a VTuber just allows me to experience a different aspect of that, because VTubing involves character creation, involves design, and I think I can have a little more freedom with some covers in terms of like styling them, because I don't have to like go find a film crew or anything. I can just, you know, commission some people and get some help that way. And so it's just another form of performing that I get to learn and experience, and that's just what being a VTuber is.
Like I said, I asked that question to every guest I have, and I've had the full spectrum of answers. You are not the first person to answer in that way, and honestly, that's kind of how I expected you to answer, knowing you and knowing your background. So, like, don't consider that to be a bad thing. That I've had a couple guests who have said that, you know, being a VTuber is life-changing. It's a new way to express themselves. It allows them to be someone that they can't be in real life, and that it is transformative for them. Other people like you are just, you know, that it is a professional thing, it's a creative thing, but it is a tool in your toolbox. It is a new vector for your creativity, and everything in between is totally legitimate. And that's part of why I ask it, because I find it so interesting that this new thing that it has really only existed for 5-6 years and has only been really accessible to the general public for 2 to 3, because even though VTubers have existed from as far back basically as Kisune AI, that back then the tech required to be a VTuber was prohibitively expensive. It only became really accessible to, you know, individuals that weren't going to be doing business level investments in the past 2-3 years. So it's so cool and interesting for me to see how that has, you know, manifested for different people and what it has allowed everyone to do. And there really is no wrong answer. I know it's a, you know, sort of trite thing to say, but there really is no wrong answer for that.
No, I agree. There's no, in terms of content creation, there's no wrong way to do any of it. Not even just content creation, just performance and art in general. Like, there's so many different styles of performance. Like, there's Meisner, you got Uta Hagen. If you want to get really down to the OG, you got Stanislavski and Chekhov. Like, you got so many different techniques, and none of them are the same. And all they are is just like ways to, just like different ways to help you find tools that suit you best and help you be the best performer and creative that you possibly can be. So there's never a right or wrong answer, unless you're like doing it for malicious intent. Then I think that's wrong. But like in terms of creativity, there's no limit to creativeness, in my opinion. So like, what's it called? I just I always like the reason why I sounded so hesitant is just because I've had people in the past tell me, they're like, you're taking it so seriously. And I'm like, yes? Is that bad? And they're like, you're not going to have any fun. And I'm like, but I'm having fun.
I'm having fun. This is my way of having fun.
And so like, I always feel like I have to word it very carefully. When I say that I view VTubing as something that facilitates my facilitates my ability to entertain, then like, oh, this is who I am type of deal. Because I've had people get mad at me for it, and I'm like, I don't know what you want from me. I'm just telling you the truth. So yeah, so that's why I was like that. But yeah.
Well, it's understandable. I know that some people, if you were to word it in a particular way, it could come off as insensitive. But
yeah, and
I could even sort of detect all right, she's crafting her response here. I think, and that made it all the more clear just to me, knowing the different types of answers to that question that are possible. As soon as you hesitated for a moment, I was like, okay, I know the answer. I already suspected, but now I definitely know, and she's being judicious, and it's warranted. It is absolutely warranted, but you can be assured that I very much understand all the different possible answers there. So you're just fine in my book. No worries.
Swag.
Well, before I let you go, if you have any particular projects or upcoming streams that you want to plug, please, by all means, what do you have coming up next?
What's it called? This month, for the month of July, my VTuber group, Kira Kira Live, we are doing a series of mini collabs throughout the week. What's it called? If you guys follow us on Twitter, which is twitter.com/kitakita_live, you'll see the schedule go up every week. Every week to see who is going to be collabing together and what they'll be doing, and all the respective channels. And then this Saturday, I will be holding my first 24-hour stream. It's gonna be like summer Taco Bell themed.
The first goal on there was drink Baja Blast, and I'm curious, have you ever had Baja Blast and it's just there as sort of a gag, or is this actually going to be a new experience?
I don't like it.
Oh, it's a punishment. It's a punishment.
Okay, so what I did, I asked my subscribers, I was like, what do you guys want to see for my upcoming subathon or donathon or whatever? And they were like, bet, I got you. And so they gave me a list. So all of the ones that are on there are all their ideas. And they were like, drink a Baja. They were like, I would love to see Suga drink a Baja Blast. And I was like, I talk about how I don't like Baja Blast. Because whenever I talk about Taco Bell, people always bring up Baja Blast. I don't see the hype in the Baja Blast. I think it's disgusting. And I also don't drink soda. And I don't drink caffeine, really. If I drink a soda, it's usually a Sprite. Sometimes I drink a Coke Zero. It does have caffeine, but I'll drink it in the morning, and that's my caffeine for the day. Or I drink a ginger ale. Those Sprite and ginger ale don't have caffeine, and Sprite isn't super sticky. Ginger ale I only drink on the plane because it is super sticky. So it's very specific situations. I don't drink Baja Blast. And they were like, I would love to see Suga drink this. And I was like, I guess I gotta put that.
And to your subscribers' credit, they thought of some pretty creative ones. The one that stands out to me most that I don't think I've ever seen on a subathon goal list, messing with scam callers.
Yeah, because we were talking about Kit Boga, and he's a VTuber he's a streamer and YouTuber that calls scammers and messes with them.
Yeah, I've seen a couple things like that I've heard it done before. I've just never seen a VTuber do it and never seen it on a subathon list. So I think that's going to be fun. So I guess usually you need to wait for someone to call you, but is it just going to be, all right, your phone has numbers that you've rejected because they're obvious spam calls and that you're just going to call those numbers back?
I have a bunch of scam emails, so I was just gonna call.
Okay, yeah, just sift through the spam folder and find a number.
Sift through that, and then the reason why they wanted me to do this was because I told a story about how a scam caller called my house, and they were looking for my sister, and it was a day before her 18th birthday, and I turned on the deep professional voice, and I said, hello, who are you looking for? You're looking for my sister. Are you aware that you are contacting a minor? And it's literally less than 24 hours before she turns 18. And I made the lady on the phone cry because I kept threatening to call the cops because they were trying to scam a minor.
Oh my gosh. And I don't have that much pity for people who do scams, but wow, I've never actually heard of someone actually getting the person on the other end to tears. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, well, because it was they were like, are you her guardian? And I was like, I'm her older sibling. My parents are currently not home or available at the moment, so I am her legal guardian as of right now. Is there something that you want with my sister? Because I think it's incredibly inappropriate that you decided to contact a minor about whatever scam call you're trying to throw. So I can get the cops on the phone right now if you want to discuss this, or we can take her off the call and never contact us again. And that kind of stuff.
and I talked to them on the phone for about 30 minutes. By the end of the
so
call,
intense. I love it.
Yeah, so they were like, because so people were like I don't know what to expect, but like that story is pretty A plus, so I'd love to hear you do that again. So like, that's what it.
Like, it's been a while since I've answered a spam call, since technology has gotten to a point where a lot of them that get to me are detected or just, you know, automatically silenced. So I see a notification that a suspected spam call was dialed to me, but inherently rejected. But back in the day, just every so often, and especially when I was applying to jobs, so I need to answer the phone because I don't know if it's somebody calling me back about something.
Yeah.
And you can usually tell within 5 seconds if it's a scam or not. And just some of the go-tos I would use is, just so you're aware, I'm on the National Do Not Call list. I will be forwarding your number to law enforcement as you are currently committing a felony. Thank you very much.
I love that. That is so good. For me, it's always been I just pick up scam calls because I'm bored.
Yeah.
And I've
never done that for like a full extended thing, but there were a couple times where my father just went to town and went rounds for like 60 minutes just having some poor scammer spin their wheels on him, and it was a ride. So this is something I'm very much, I hope that you get to that goal, because I think that would be an absolute riot. And especially for someone who has acting experience and can really just carry it and sell it.
Yeah, my favorite one to do that I do this often. I do the "Hi, I'm Barbie. Thank you so much for calling calling Barbie's Dream House. If you would like to contact me again, please dial 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pound. Bye-bye."
That's a little too good. Jeez.
My Barbie impression.
Like, I'm not surprised that you're able to do it, but of all the possible impressions that you could have pulled out tonight, that was not the one I expected.
Even after I did my Haruhi?
Well, that makes sense. We were talking anime and stuff. I would have expected you to pull out, you know, I don't know, either a cartoon archetype or maybe just like something from Broadway, a character there. I suppose Barbie is a cartoon character, so maybe I should have anticipated it, but that was not high up on the list of things that I expected, but that was fantastic.
Thanks. Barbie is really fun for me to do. Just even going like, "Hi, I'm Barbie. Welcome to Barbie's Dream House. Click play if you're ready to start," is like my favorite thing to do.
Gosh.
And we discovered it was Barbie because I've been playing Doki Doki Literature Club, and the voice that I give Monica, one of my Kira Live, fellow Kira Live members was like, "That's Barbie," and I was like, "Is it? Is that Barbie?" And they're like, "Yeah." And so I asked my chat, I was like, "Is it Barbie?" They're like, "Can you say hi, I'm Barbie?" And so I was like, "Hi, I'm Barbie." And they're like, "Oh," and then one of my moms was like, "Can you say welcome to Barbie's Dream House?" And I was like, "Welcome to Barbie's Dream House." So they were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, contact Hasbro. I don't know, you know, they have to have voice actors be the voice of Barbie whenever they create a new product and have different lines. That is a paid job.
Should. Honestly, can I just be like a Barbie VTuber? I mean, she's kind of a VTuber already. She's a YouTuber.
A little bit, yeah.
I'll be a sheep, and then I'll be my regular self, and then like I'll put like a Mattel like stamp on my sweater, so it looks like a badge. It'd be like,
yep.
"Hi, I'm working right now, but I'm Suga, and welcome to Barbie's Dream House."
Yeah, sounds good to me. I don't know who we commissioned for this. Any artists who might be in the chat or watching this, I would love to see fan art of Suga as Barbie.
I would love to be Barbie. I specifically like Princess and the Pauper.
I think I saw that one a long time ago, because I'm the eldest of 3, and I had a younger sister who had a Barbie phase. It wasn't a particularly long one, but it lasted about, 6 months to a year, and there were a couple movies in there, and I think Princess and the Pauper was among them.
It's the one where they're like they look the same and
Yeah,
they
because
swap.
it's the Parent Trap, switching places type of deal. Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically that. Yeah.
Well, that's the classic Princess and the Pauper story going all the way back.
I mean, yeah, but it Barbie.
Yes. But Barbie.
Yeah, but Barbie.
And as well, I know we could go all night, but I want to let you go because now we're up to 3.5 hours. So
oh my gosh, that's the thing. I should have told you this. If you have to say bye.
It's fine. It's fine. I told you when we spoke earlier in the week. I was like, do you have a time limit? If it is, let me know, and I will make sure that we hit this limit. And you were like, nah, I'm pretty good at just whatever's good for you. And I had initially thought, okay, usually I aim to have shows go 2.5 hours, and we'll probably go there, and it'll be fine. And then I glance up at, the live clock, and like, oh, it's 2 hours, 45 minutes. I should probably prepare to wind this down. And then we just wind up in another good conversation. And I told you that we were at 3 hours at about the 2 hour, 57-minute mark, and now it is the 3 hour, 27-minute mark. So it's been 30 minutes. But it's been worth every minute. As long as you're good, I am good. And I've had a ball tonight.
Yeah, no, I love chit-chatting. So I've had a lot of fun. Like, very genuinely, Jay, thank you for inviting me on. And I'm this is very fun.
This has been great. Before we, throw everyone away, is there someone you want to try and raid? I don't know who is live right now, but if you can do a quick little search for me, I can send them on their way.
Yeah, let's see.
And while she's at that, thank you all so much for tuning in. For the people that I didn't get a chance to mention earlier, Star Knight 310, Ryuganana, X-Man 2730, and Lucid Fia, thank you so much for the follows. For anyone who's still here, if you care to follow me here on Twitter, please do so. I try to do a show a week, barring various circumstances, but I've been pretty good about it. I've only missed once, and that was for a wedding. And I'm just trying to, keep up every weekend. Sometimes it's Friday, sometimes it's Saturday, sometimes it's Sunday, but you come here and you'll get a show, and if you enjoyed this, stop by again and maybe find a new VTuber who you haven't met before.
Oh, yeah. What's it called? I have one friend.
Veriteve. Vertivat? I'm probably butchering it. I'm so sorry, but thank you for following.
What's it called? I have a friend who's streaming. So let me send their username to you.
Okie
There you
dokie.
go.
Mitsukib or Mitsuki BB.
Mitsuki. Yeah. Mitsu. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna.
Hang out with me. I'll be streaming 24 hours on Saturday, starting at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yes, please be sure to follow Suga on Twitter and Twitch. She also has YouTube. Her Twitch and Twitter are here on the Chirons. Gonna give her one more shout out before we go.
Woo!
There we go. Again, thank you so much for being on the show and for taking time out. This has been so much fun. I can't thank you enough.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me. This has been really fun. I'm like, we could keep talking forever.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised. And that was one of the things that I had you on for the Coco Appreciation Show a couple weeks back. And we just started talking a lot while doing the soundtrack and everything for that. And you'd been someone that I knew I wanted to have on at some point. But after that, I was just like, okay, I need to have Suga on.
Because we have a lot of similar interests, so it makes it really easy to talk. And I think we're both very good conversationalists as well, which makes it easier to talk to each other.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, thank you again, and I'm just gonna prep this raid.
Yeah!
Raid there. Yep. See you around, everyone, and thank you for stopping by.